I think we're here early. Producer, did I screw it up? I think I screwed it up because I added my screen share. Producer, you'll have to let me know. If I screwed it up, then we're just starting early. All good. Okay. Looks like I screwed it up and we're starting early. If you've ever spent the weekend coding a trading bot, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Looks like we're here a little bit early. Sorry about that. I can't help it. I'm excited. I want this all to work. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. The World Cup is over, and boy, was it awesome. Congrats to everybody connected to the World Cup, from the players to the fans to the organization to the people that worked at the stadiums, cleaning the stadiums, serving drinks and food to everybody. Just an absolutely amazing tournament. Congratulations to Spain for winning. Just so phenomenal. So phenomenal. Can't wait for the next one. And, you know, it's only like 24 days till the preseason starts for the NFL. So you American football fans out there, do not despair. We are getting football back here pretty soon. But we've got another exciting week for you here, and we are going to start off with a bang. We got a special guest here from Nasdaq today. We've got some news to go over. We've got trades to do. We've got stocks to break down. I'm thrilled that all of you folks are here today. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for July 20th, 2026, begins right now. All right, and welcome back, everybody. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. We are back here again for more excitement with the market, and I'm glad to be back with the best community on the entire internet. So pat yourself on the back for that. Solitary Soldier is first here today. Good morning, Solitary Soldier. Welcome back. It is great to see you. Derek, good morning. Welcome back. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Peter, good morning. It is great to see you as always. Game was exciting last night. Peter, I will say I think both games over the weekend were exciting for different ways, right? That game on Saturday that had 10 goals was unbelievable. Looked like France surrendered in the first half, and then they came back guns blazing in the second half. That was exciting. It felt like an all-star game, just tons of talent across the board. Between England and France, absolutely amazing. And then you had a nail biter, really all through Sunday. That Argentine goalie, man, oh God, he was under fire the entire game. What a spectacular performance. Was not enough, though, as Spain was able to notch that win. Peter, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you're rested and ready to go here this week. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you. Zach McCracken, good morning. And good morning to the Benzie gang. Zach also mentioning that there's an Andrew Archer collaboration. Archer did pop here in the pre-market. Went as high as 5, backed off a little bit, but is trading back up here. We'll see how Archer finishes today. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the pre-market pulse segment of the show here today. Ed, good morning. Welcome back. Ed said this market is crazy. Oil up, yields up, and for some reason the stock market is up in pre-market. And indeed, that's the case. We are higher here across the board. We'll go through that here in a little bit. Keep running through the welcomes here. Jay, good morning. Welcome back. Producer, good morning. Welcome back. Brett, good morning. Welcome back. Kelly, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. Best Life, good morning and happy Monday. Sunshine, I love it. Matthew, good morning. Welcome back. Linda, good morning. Welcome back. Sergeant Sexy, good morning. Welcome back. You almost missed the tunes. That would have been okay to blame that one on me this time, because I did not have my screen shared, and I was like, oh, I remembered. The producer will not have to tell me. And then I shared it, and it ended the sequence. So despite the producer's best laid plans, this guy managed to screw it up again. But that's okay. We deal with stuff like that all the time. Dara, good morning. Welcome back. Zach saying Iran proposed a 10-day ceasefire. Okay. I don't know if anyone is going to believe that, but we'll see what kind. You know what? Let's just keep let's keep an open mind. Let's keep our eyes on the headlines and keep an open mind. Should, at minimum, produce some volatility for trading. So we'll see how that goes. Jay says, if you're not early, you are late. Okay, well, then you know what? I made it on time today. Lombardi time. I love it. Daniel, good morning. Welcome back. Dirkus, good morning. Welcome back. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Liam, it's great to see you as always. Brett, good morning. G-Cord, Wiss, and Big Bees, good morning. Bob says, are you in Chicago? I thought you were in Detroit. So right here, this way. That right there is Detroit. In fact, I, however, am located in Chicago. But don't forget, Detroit's only a 42-minute plane flight away. So I'm there quite often. Love the team in Michigan, by the way, and also the golf in Michigan. Shout out. Austin, good morning. Welcome back. Marionette, it's good to see you as always. Welcome back. Brandy, good morning. Back from vacation. Brandy, awesome. First of all, let me know, are you rested and relaxed? Number one, because that's what vacations are supposed to do. Second of all, how sick was the vacation and where did you go? And third of all, me and the rest of the team are glad that you are back safe. Good stuff. Philip, good morning. Let's have a profitable Monday to start the week. I think that is always the best idea. Let's try and put a positive step forward early on in the week. Makes the rest of the week easy, especially for me since I start a lake house vacation on Friday. Should be fun. Boogie, good morning. Welcome back. Acorns, good morning. Welcome back. Dimebag, good morning. Welcome back. Up 30, good morning. Welcome back. Robot to Trade, good morning. Welcome back. Cancel, good morning. Welcome back. Tell Iran we consulted the 8-ball and it says to ask again later. That is actually awesome. I will try and deliver that message through the mediators. Oh, that's awesome. Austin, good morning. Welcome back. Janie, good morning. Welcome back. Big B's asking an important question here. Detroit style pizza or Chicago style pizza? Yo, I'm telling you right now that Lou Malnati's is some of the best food that you'll ever eat. I'm a Chicago pizza guy through and through. Definitely biased. But Detroit pizza, it's awesome. And there are some amazing spots that are not like Jets in Detroit that are absolutely incredible that I would 100% go back for. If it's pizza, the answer is yes, it's good. That's what it comes down to. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. All right, Brandy, you went to the Smoky Mountains. Did you see Lion Atlas is the question, the follow-up question that I have. Good to have you back. Glad you're rested. The Goods, good morning. Welcome back. And Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, your futures are green across the board here today. We'll see if that holds. S&P futures are currently up 0.41%. They are off their highs, but they are still holding higher and higher than the VWAP. Dow futures up by 0.21%, and the Nasdaq leading the way higher, plus 0.85% in the green. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session, as well as what we have on deck here and get you ready for the trading day. Energy stocks bucked the overall market trend to end higher on Friday, but most S&P 500 sectors closed in the red, led down by consumer discretionary, communication services, and information technology. U.S. stock futures advanced on Monday as the Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P 500 indices rose following Friday's lower close. The U.S. military launched a 9th straight night of strikes against Iran to protect critical oil shipping routes, with CENTCOM saying, quote, the strikes will continue degrading Iranian military capabilities used to attack commercial vessels and civilian mariners transiting the Strait of Hormuz, end quote. As the U.S. troop death toll reached 17, President Trump signaled that the operation will persist, noting, quote, Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost almost everything militarily, end quote. While limited economic data is scheduled to be released this week, investors are expecting earnings results from companies like Alphabet, ticker GOOG or GOOGL, Tesla, ticker TSLA, General Motors, ticker GM, and Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD. You could also throw Texas Instruments in there, ticker TXN. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.55%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.18%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show that the markets are pricing an 87.7% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the current interest rates unchanged during the July meeting. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today. The first one is going to be Data Vault AI. The ticker is DVLT, and it was 0.19% lower in the pre-market on Monday after it announced $1 billion worth of Edge AI tokenization. The next stock on our list is going to be Synopsys, and the ticker is SNPS. It was 0.2% higher after plunging on Friday as Moonshot AI's Kimi K3 autonomously designed a functional semiconductor chip in 48 hours using exclusively open source tools, bypassing Cadence Design Systems, ticker CDNS, and Synopsys entirely. The next stock on our list is going to be RTX, and this was 0.25% higher after NATO announced a $40 billion investment in counter-drone capabilities on Saturday. The next stock on our list is going to be EVA Live, and the ticker is GOAI. It jumped 13.88% after it signed a letter of intent to acquire a controlling 51% interest in Airbeam Wireless Technologies. The last stock on our list is going to be Crown Holdings, and the ticker on this one is CCK. It was up 1.09% as analysts expect it to report earnings of $2.16 per share on revenue of $3.36 billion after the closing bell. All right, folks, let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we are at. Now, we talked a lot last week, pretty much every day last week, about being sideways here. And I still think we're in that formation. Really, until we break out or break down from this, it still kind of feels like we're sideways. Now, we did kind of test the 50-day and peak beneath it. Today, we have the 50-day at 744.08. So let's just call it 744. That's definitely going to be a key level here today. Now, we are peaking above that, and we are also peaking above the 20-day moving average. That's at 745. So 744, 745 going to be key levels today, taken straight from the daily chart and some of those moving averages that we've been following here. We want to stay above these, but ultimately what we want for a move higher is we want to first break the high from July 10th. Again, that value 755.42. And then eventually we want to break the high from June 1st. That is your all-time high at 760.28. These are going to be two upside levels. I think it's going to be tough to get through them. We'll see if the earnings this week, some of the tech earnings, are enough to kind of drive that. Judging by what we've seen so far, I don't feel great about it. That being said, I'm still bullish on the seasonality for July. And we still have like 11 days left in July here. So if we get any type of move to the upside, all of that stuff might kind of line up. Downside, if we break through these levels here, the 744 and the 745 level, we're definitely going to be looking at 740 as the next place where we should find some support. So we'll see how it goes here. With no data early in the week, we're probably going to be a little bit sideways until Wednesday when we start to see some of those bigger earnings reports. And I think we have the jobless claims number there on Thursday. So hopefully it'll be kind of a muted beginning to the week here, or let's not even say that. Let's say more predictable beginning to the week here, and we'll see how we end up doing throughout the rest of the week. Now, let's get back here and take a look at some insights from analysts. Veteran strategist Ed Yardeni warns a hidden tech wreck is underway beneath a calm market surface, cautioning that semiconductor equities face further downside. While the S&P 500 hovers near record highs, the iShares Semiconductor ETF, or SOXX, has plunged over 20% into bear market territory. Yardeni observed that, quote, the surface stayed calm while the engine broke, end quote, noting how international margin calls and new competitive pressures from Chinese AI labs have rattled momentum chip names. Driven by these headwinds, Yardeni does not believe the sell-off has bottomed, explicitly warning that, quote, S&P 500 semiconductor stock price index is likely to fall another 12% to its 200-day moving average, end quote. Despite the tech turbulence, he sees underlying economic resilience in non-tech areas rather than a broader collapse. He advocates for a strategic sector rotation into financials and healthcare, sectors Yardeni research retains at overweight. He emphasizes that these traditional industries are holding up well, buoyed by a booming investment banking environment and strong performance across the biotechnology industry. By pivoting away from vulnerable chip makers towards value-driven cyclical and healthcare plays, Yardeni anticipates the overall economy and market can weather the ongoing semiconductor reset. This is the rotation that we have been talking about. We have at 13 and I have both kind of been talking about financials and other places to be in this rotation. Big shout out Jay Rice, who's not here yet, who lets us know where he sees that rotation on a regular basis. So we're going to keep watching all of that, and we're going to keep trying to position ourselves to where the puck is going rather than where the puck has been. And again, if you look at some of these individual sectors, some of them look bad. I mean, even semiconductors, which has been a darling for us, bear market territory based on the SOXS. But if you look at the indices, it doesn't quite tell the story. Indices up near all-time highs, maybe less than 3% from the all-time highs. So everything looks like it's okay. Really, the question is going to be what sector carries us next. And as we've been outlining from looking at the SPY, a lot of sideways here. So something big is going to have to happen to either break us up or break us down. We'll see how that goes. Now, really quickly, just to kind of cover or reiterate on the economic data. On Monday, June's leading economic index data will be out by 10, and the Federal Reserve Board of Governors will hold a closed meeting at 3:30 Eastern. No data Tuesday, no data Wednesday. And on Thursday, we get the initial jobless claims for the week ending July 18th. That'll be released at 8:30, and we also get July's Kansas City Fed manufacturing survey data by 11. On Friday, we get the S&P Flash U.S. Manufacturing and Services PMI, which will be out by 9:45, and June's new home sales report will be out by 10. So we have some data here today. Really, the only one that I think could move the markets is the one on Thursday, and there will likely be a reaction from the large earnings reports that we are expected to get on Wednesday after the close. So to me, that seems like the big day here, at least forward-looking with some of what we're expecting, some of the data that we're expecting. Okay. Let's dive into the first story here. This one's going to be on SK Hynix. Samsung, SK Hynix tumble in Seoul as the China AI breakthroughs weigh on AI infrastructure stocks. Be curious to know how you folks are trading all of the memory names, but in particular SK Hynix, as this is the new listing here. Seoul-listed shares of Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix ticker SKHY on the Nasdaq, fell sharply on Monday, extending last week's sell-off and dragging South Korea's benchmark Kospi index lower as investors continued to assess the implications of China's latest AI advances. Samsung fell as much as 5.8% to $162.28 US, and SK Hynix also fell 5.8% to $1,172.76 US, extending a broader retreat in AI-linked stocks this month. The sell-off followed renewed concerns that heavy spending on AI infrastructure has pushed valuations to unsustainable levels, prompting investors to lock in profits after months of strong gains. The pressure on South Korean chip makers contrasted with Taiwan, where the benchmark's TAIEX index slipped over 0.5%, and Taiwan Semiconductor, ticker TSM, rebounded 1.31% after last week's sharp decline. Investor sentiment also weighed down by the rollout of the Beijing-based Moonshot AI's Kimi K3 open source model, one of the world's top-performing open source AI models. The launch reinforced concerns that increasingly capable and lower-cost Chinese AI models are intensifying competition for U.S. developers and cloud providers, raising fresh questions about the long-term returns from massive AI infrastructure spending. The pullback also comes after Samsung last week said its chip division was on track for a 19-fold jump in operating profit, driven by robust demand for AI memory chips. According to a Reuters report, Samsung has cut jobs across the U.S. display, mobile, and consumer electronics operations as it relocates its U.S. headquarters from New Jersey to Texas. South Korea's financial markets were closed on Friday for Constitution Day, while Japan's markets remained shut on Monday for Marine Day. The Kospi, the world's best performing major benchmark index this year, tumbled as much as 5% on Monday and was down 3.89%. So I'm curious to see what all of these stocks tied to the Korean memory are going to do, or really even anything Kospi adjacent, how that's going to do here today. Let me know if you folks are looking for shorter term trades on the likes of Micron, SK Hynix, SanDisk, or maybe even Western Digital. I know those have been big winners here. They've pulled back quite a bit. Curious to know how how the group is trading any of those names. You'll have to let me know. And I'm sure we're going to take a look at those throughout the course of the session here today. Now, the next story here, the Pentagon slamming executives or OpenAI executives, the claims that the Chinese AI curb, citing a 2026 law, it's not some deep state scheme. We're going to hear more and more about this as we hear about open source models and which models companies want to use, the whole 9 yards. We're going to do our best to keep you on top of that entire situation. The Pentagon has expressed disapproval of OpenAI's Dean Ball stance on regulation, raising questions about the future of OpenAI's relationship with the government. On Sunday, Dean Ball, head of strategic futures at OpenAI, had indicated on X that several U.S. government agencies, including the Department of Defense, Transportation, Energy, Agriculture, Commerce, NASA, and Congress, have barred employees from using Chinese AI tools, arguing the restrictions are based on poorly justified safety concerns and have discouraged regulated companies from adopting the technology. Defense Undersecretary Emil Michael fired back on X and refuted Ball's assertions that government agencies, including the Pentagon, were preventing employees from using Chinese AI. He elaborated that Congress passed a 2026 law restricting certain uses of only DeepSeek and high flyer models while allowing waivers in specific cases. The measure was approved through the legislative process, not through a deep state initiative, as Ball alleged. Quote, it went through the democratic process, not some deep state scheme like he would prefer, end quote. That was from Michael. Meanwhile, former White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs criticized proposals to use regulatory uncertainty to discourage adoption of Chinese AI models, arguing that AI policy should be based on evidence and open competition. He also responded to Dean Ball, who suggested that the government could steer companies away from Chinese AI by having agencies issue informal warnings that create fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD, rather than imposing an outright ban. This development comes as the Trump administration is reportedly seeking greater control over who gets early access to advanced AI models from companies like OpenAI and Anthropic. Under its new Gold Eagle cybersecurity initiative, the White House could approve which organizations participate in trusted partner programs, shifting authority away from AI companies' current self-managed access process. Earlier this month, OpenAI was reportedly considering offering a 5% equity stake to the U.S. government as part of a broader effort to strengthen ties with the Trump administration and secure financial backing. Meanwhile, Chinese AI models have overtaken U.S. rivals on OpenRouter for the first time, accounting for a record 58% of tokens processed by U.S. firms, and that is according to data shared by the Kobisi letter. Their share has surged from less than 10% at the start of 25 to as high as 63% in early July, driven by growing adoption of models from companies such as DeepSeek. OpenRouter's token usage is widely viewed as a key indicator of real-world AI model adoption. So it's a he said, she said. I guess at the end of the day here, first of all, are any of you drawn away from any of the traditional American large language models that we talk about and trade all of the time here? I know we've got a gentleman in Happy Hour that's trying to set up some of his own personal, more local large language models and is using some of the open source applications to do that. But I'm just curious to kind of where the group sits here. I know that if I would use whatever AI company AI tool my company told me to use. Thankfully, full disclosure here, I'm not told to use any one. I can simply use whichever one I pick. But if my company told me what I had to use, I would do it. I would be a little bit weary about using some of the Chinese models. I'm not against open source at all, but I'm just curious how you folks think this is all going to shake out here. We've talked about being in the infancy of this for a long time. There's already been back and forth when it comes to Mythos and Fable 5 and all of that. And I would imagine this isn't going anywhere. So just curious to see where you folks land on this and what kind of AI model you all are using in your day-to-day life. Now, okay, let's talk real quick here about the World Cup. It's over. It was fantastic. That's great. I got two really quick stories here regarding the betting aspect of this, and I think this ties in nicely to what we were discussing recently when we talk about Michael Burry taking large stakes in DraftKings, ticker DKNG, and Flutter Entertainment, parent company of FanDuel, ticker FLUT, as well as the prediction markets. Although I don't dabble, and it doesn't sound like a lot of you folks dabble, prediction markets are clearly picking up here. Speaking of which, a mysterious PreMarket trader walked away with $1.35 million in hours after one bold World Cup wager. And yep, you guessed it, it is raising some more eyebrows here. A newbie on PreMarket netted over $1 million in just a few hours on Sunday by betting on Spain to win the FIFA World Cup. Operating under the pseudonym Yamal19, the punter began purchasing Yes shares on Polygon, or on the Polygon-based PreMarket when the odds were about 59%. They ended up tossing $1.95 million into the bet. Curiously, there's no record of this trader placing bets on any other PreMarket contract, sports or otherwise. When Spain beat Argentina to lift the trophy at New Jersey Stadium, the trader landed a big payoff. They closed out the entire position and walked away with $1.35 million, which is a 69% return. PreMarket did not immediately respond to Benzinga's request for comment. This pattern of trades on PreMarket is not new to observers. Mysterious accounts appeared overnight, placing bets on highly specific outcomes, including President Trump's bid to acquire Greenland and a U.S. military operation in Venezuela. In fact, the U.S. soldier was charged earlier this year for allegedly using classified information to profit on a PreMarket bet linked to the Venezuela ousted leader Nicolas Maduro. The prediction markets have strengthened its market integrity rules to fight insider trading and routinely report suspicious traders to authorities. Notably, PreMarket founder Shane Copeland has waved off the idea that prediction markets could corrupt sports, dismissing in May fears of game fixing and insider trading as, quote, outlandish and baseless. No word on who Yamal19 might be, but had several millions to even place the bet in the first place, walked away with $1.35 million. Now, that's not it when it comes to the World Cup. Spain wins the World Cup, but the IRS might be the biggest winner. Oh, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. In a thrilling conclusion to the World Cup Championship, Spain emerged as the victor, securing a $50 million first-place prize from FIFA. However, this victory is not without its financial implications, as the winnings are subject to taxation by the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS is set to claim a portion of the $655 million total prize pot, regardless of the team's nationality. Robert Raiola, director of the sports and entertainment group at PKF O'Connor Davies, told MarketWatch, quote, "It doesn't make a difference who wins the game. The IRS will get a piece," end quote. Not just the players, but also the coaches, team staff, and referees are subject to this taxation. Additionally, the teams will have to navigate various tax codes as they play globally with income streams that can be unpredictable due to performance-based compensation. Rob Fagan, senior manager in KPMG's Washington National Tax Practice, pointed out that U.S. has tax treaties with certain countries that may affect the taxation of athletes' earnings. However, the final match between Spain and Argentina was held in New Jersey, a state that does not adhere to international tax treaties, implying that the Spanish team will be taxed on their winnings from the championship game. While the national soccer federations participating in the 2026 World Cup were expected to receive tax-exempt status, that exemption does not automatically apply to everyone associated with the game. Even if a national federation qualifies for a federal tax exemption on its prize money, Players, coaches, referees, and staff may still owe U.S. taxes on salaries, bonuses, endorsement earnings, and appearance fees earned during the tournament. Their U.S. tax liability depends on applicable international tax treaties, which are designed to prevent double taxation and may offer exemptions or reduced taxes based on income thresholds. Tax treatment can also vary by country. For example, the U.S. has a tax treaty with Spain, but not Argentina, and even among individuals on the same team. The expanded 2026 FIFA World Cup is expected to generate more than $9 billion in revenue, making it the most lucrative sporting event ever, according to FIFA estimates, and that was reported by CNBC. The tournament's expansion from 32 to 48 teams and from 64 to 104 matches created more opportunities in broadcasting, ticketing, and advertising, significantly boosting commercial revenue. Notably, FIFA President Gianni Infantino's close relationship with President Trump was a defining feature of the 2026 World Cup, co-hosted by the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. Buoyed by strong ticket sales, Infantino has floated expanding the 2030 World Cup to 64 teams. The centenary tournament will have a $6 billion budget and is expected to be an even bigger event, with FIFA positioning it as a more attractive spectacle for broadcasters. In June, Alec Bokenfuso, portfolio manager of the Gabelli Opportunities in Live Sports and ETF, the ticker is GOLS on the NYSE, stated that the World Cup could accelerate soccer adoption in the U.S., leading to lasting commercial benefits for clubs worldwide. This could potentially result in a 20 to 30% uplift in soccer team valuation multiples if the U.S. if U.S. adoption accelerates post-2026, representing billions in incremental enterprise value for leading clubs. Gabelli argued that sports franchises are increasingly valuable due to growing revenue from media rights, sponsorships, ticket sales, and merchandise. So everyone wins, including the IRS, it seems. So it is what it is. All right, folks, it's Monday. It's 8:30. Now, I know we normally don't have a guest, but we are starting to change that. We are absolutely starting to change that. And we are excited about that. We are pleased. Let me go. There we go. Thank you, producer. We are pleased to bring back the head of index options content at Nasdaq, Kevin Davitt. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Kevin, good morning. How you doing? Happy Monday.
Good morning, Ryan. I am doing well, and I like that sort of tax angle on the World Cup. I enjoyed it. I learned a few things.
Yeah, you don't think about that often. In fact, I will often forget that even like our local athletes here that play for sports teams in different states have a huge tax issue at the end of that, because the different states have different tax implications. Well, so true is that of different countries as well. So I like the comment here in the chat. The house always wins. And indeed, it seems no matter what, the IRS is always going to win. No matter what we do here. But anyway, let's get down to brass tacks. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks for waking up early and joining us here on Monday. And I'm happy to see you as we kind of close out Q2 here. What are you seeing as we close out Q2? Do you have any takeaways from this? And also, if you have any content that you want to share, did you want to do that here today?
Yeah, I'd love to. Let me just make sure that you are seeing the right screen. Give me just a second. Here we go. And I do. Your point about Q2, we're at the point in the calendar about to move into the heart of earnings season. And the trading activity that we have seen more recently has been very much centered on the semis. I know you have covered it. And it will be, I think, a key focal point for investors, for shorter term traders. And here I'm looking at kind of an interesting perspective at the top of the NASDAQ 100. So the two largest market cap names in the world now, you have Apple and you have NVIDIA. Interestingly, last week during NVIDIA and the semi kind of swoon, Apple surpassed it again in terms of market cap. And that led me to kind of a bigger, broader thought experiment for you and the
Mhm.
audience. Like looking forward from here, being able to see this price performance, Apple in purple, kind of a slower, steadier, like a 25 to 30 volatility name relative to NVIDIA, that price chart in orange, something closer to a 40, 45 volatility name there. What does the audience think about on a go forward basis, and how might they look to express that view? I come at this from an options focused angle, and I do think there's tremendous flexibility in thinking about investments and time horizons through the lens of options. And then I also think that there are ways to incorporate an index view, whether it's to offset some directional risk using index options. But I just found it interesting to see that this dichotomy between the semis, and last week kind of software hardware performed reasonably well.
Mhm.
Apple, they're forecasting a big upgrade cycle around the broader AI story. I just found it interesting. I'm curious if you have any sort of gut reaction.
Yeah, I definitely do. First of all, if anyone from the chat has a thought on this, please let me know. I'll try and isolate your comment and read it back to Kevin here, but I'll start. Kevin, one of the things that this tells me is number one, this actually confirms what we see here on a regular basis. We often talk about some of the, let's call them the more direct AI trades, whether it be NVIDIA or some other semiconductor name or hyperscaler name. We often look at Apple as the quote safe play, right? When we were watching some of these memory plays go 4, 5, 6x from where they were at, we knew, well, okay, there's the momentum is here, but clearly at some point these things are going to need a bit of a pullback as we regress back to the mean. We've seen that in other stocks like Nvidia, we've seen that in stocks like Google, so we've seen that across the board. But what we have not seen that in is Apple. Apple just seems to be, as you mark here on the chart, slow and steady. And so to me, this just kind of the stats here, the chart that you've provided confirms some of the feeling that we have when we're actually in the moment, that Apple actually is the safety play.
I see them as kind of like the rails. They bring me and you and end users in this massive ecosystem that they control. They are kind of the toll booth or the house in that situation. And historically, that has been a good business. Now, that's not me saying that I'm taking the other side on
Mhm.
NVIDIA. You look at their margins. Again, I appreciate your take and the audience take. It does seem like there's some heated sort of opinions there. But given this sort of equal market cap valuation right here, I think it's an interesting thought experiment, and it arguably brings me, at least in some ways, to this next point about the volatility that we are seeing in the semis of late. So let me explain sort of broadly what we're looking at here, and then what the takeaway might be. There is a Philadelphia SOX index, the semiconductor index, that is under the Nasdaq umbrella. It includes 30 of the largest semiconductor names that your audience likely is very familiar with. This visual is looking at the 50-day average move on a close over close basis for that index. Long and the short of it, and I'm sure that your audience has seen this play out more recently, is that the swings that we are seeing in a broad based semi index are unusual from a historical standpoint. The average daily move, looking back nearly 3 months, is over 3% a day. The only
Mhm.
comparable periods, you can see them called out on this chart here, which I did not make, the Bespoke did, but I think it bespoke to the sort of bigger, broader narrative that's playing out in the market right now. It's unusual. How does this resolve? I don't know. It's possible that we move into another earnings season for these names where they beat and raise, and we see that upward trend continue. Curious if you have any opinion here.
Yeah, I do actually. My first question, and I apologize because I'm just kind of looking ahead. What do
Yeah.
you think the chances are if 6 months from now we look back at this same chart and wherever that line finishes is wherever it finishes? Let's say we look back in 6 months and we say this was the beginning of the AI age. Like right now, we've got the financial crisis labeled on there. We have the COVID crash on there. We have the June 2000 on there, but it looks like we're setting up for another one of these. Let me just say it. It sounds like we're setting up for another one of these black swan moments. What are the chances we look back on this and we say, that was the AI age coming to reality?
Well, I don't feel like I can answer that directly, but I'm going to look back to the late 90s and early 2000s, where we saw swings of in the neighborhood 5% for a persistent period. At this point, we can say that we moved into the information age somewhere around that point. And in 2002, when markets sort of healed after removing sort of the riffraff from that era, we really normalized in the information age, and ranges did the same. So I think the market is voting here, is concerned, is weighing the prospects of whether we are out over our skis. And really, I don't know, but what I do know, and I'm much more comfortable doing, is looking at option markets and seeing what kind of, from a percentage or delta standpoint, the probability of a given outcome is, and asking myself to what extent I agree with that, and then maybe fashioning a position. So that is typically how I look at the world. But when you see an area of the market that really dominates in terms of market cap, whether you're looking at the Nasdaq 100 or an alternative index, moving with this kind of velocity, it should capture your attention.
Yeah, it definitely does here. To me, I like what you said there. After the riffraff, it's sort of normalized. I feel like that's what's going to happen here. Like AI is not going anywhere. It's going to be here
Right.
to stay. There's going to be riffraff that's going to be cleared out, and that period of normalization is going to take place. Now, one of our members here is talking about, let me see if I can find that actual question here. I think it's time to invest in the AI and computing build out stocks. Now, I think what this viewer means is more of like the AI infrastructure behind it rather than the hyperscalers themselves. And so I would imagine if we do have one of these, I want to call it a corrective phase on this. I think that will probably apply to the semiconductors, but I would imagine that as the normalization takes place, there are going to be other markets that are involved in this that are going to be tradable. And I think that's what the viewer's getting at.
Historically, I think you've seen that play out
Yep.
in more than a handful of scenarios. In terms of if we're going to get a correction, I would argue that we are there. It depends on how deep, or the question becomes, how deep does it get?
Mm-hmm.
And the pullback that we've seen thus far, when you're kind of focused primarily on the semis, not the bigger, broader infrastructure trade, has been fairly mundane. Like a 25-30% pullback in this area of the market is not unheard of when you look back just a couple of years. Again, not to repeat myself, but it becomes a question of, is this a 50%, a 70% pullback? Time will tell there. The way I look at the market, and I mentioned this in a couple of different ways, is generally at the index level, and specifically NDX index options. And this is a busy chart, but I'm going to walk you through it and get your take.
Perfect.
For the most part, one of the ways people look to potentially capitalize on index options is by selling spreads. And that generally is predicated on a belief that realized volatility will slightly underperform the market's implied volatility, the premium that options are placing on potential swings over a given time frame. Okay? And when you look at long-term timeframes, typically the implied volatility exceeds the volatility that a market subsequently realizes. You with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. So you saw that play out. I've highlighted this is just year to date in the Nasdaq 100, and we're looking at 1 week windows, 5 day or a trading week. And anytime these red lines are below the blue line, implied volatility exceeded realized. And if you were kind of net short a little option premium, which is very much the kind of epicenter of index options trading, you've likely done well. Now, if I call your attention to this period kind of since early June, it has been a different story. If you recall, June 5th, we had a significant move led by the semis. The broader NASDAQ 100 fell by like 4.8%. And since then, volatility markets have been a little bit off sides. And generally, the realized volatility has exceeded implied. Now, I think you could argue that markets are normalizing here and they will take their cue from earnings. But the sort of broader perspective here is that typically over long time frames, selling premium in index option products on a defined risk basis can be a viable way to potentially make little bits of money here and there. The issue is how you protect yourself in environments like this, where you see periods of big moves that exceed what the market expected. And it's just something I'd like to remind your audience of, because it has been a challenging environment if you're looking to potentially collect index options premium.
Okay. All right. Well, so my take on this is that one of the things that we've been doing here for a long time, I know we've taken bets on upside bets on options. So we've actually bought the options themselves.
Yep.
But a majority of what, especially some of our option related guests will do is they're always talking about selling the premium. And it seems to me that if we are in that phase of normalization that you talked about, that the trade would still be better if we were selling premium, as opposed to trying to buying some of those options for what I'm going to call it, the rare case where the actual move exceeds what the implied move from the options was. It seems like that's still going to be few and far between, and we're probably going to be better off selling premium. That's my initial read on this.
I would tend to agree, but I am not one to sort of. I think the power of options is that you can really be flexible, and you can say, "Listen, with implied volatility in the teens, maybe I don't want to be short that. I'm not being compensated appropriately." And hopefully, knock on wood over here, you'll never hear me say always. I want the statistics to tell me what they do, and I want to be empowered to make a decision based on my forecast over a given time frame. Now, was I positioned perfectly around the June 5th move? No, but understanding what tends to work and then thinking what you can make work given your constraints are two different conversations, but they're both equally important. And I think options and like you were talking about the prediction markets and the growth there, they are running in parallel because they empower people to be able to say, what do I think? What are my constraints? And what different ways can I express that outlook? And I think that's a really powerful sort of growth narrative. The one last bit that I'll leave you with here is this is very much related to what we were just looking at. It's kind of based on options pricing, and we're looking at implied volatility for NDX options at given points in time, the term structure of volatility. Now, the thing that I'm going to call attention to is volatility next week. Now, the question marks for next week's action, and when you're back on here next Monday, you'll likely be talking about earnings from a whole bunch of mega cap names, including Apple, including others. It's the biggest week for earnings in terms of market cap on the calendar. And then the other thing is that next week we have the second Warsh Fed meeting, and that is increasingly a question mark for investors. What is the path for rates? And so the volatility expected in the market This week is fairly significant, like 25, 26 vol is nothing to sneeze at. Next week is where the options market are pricing some potential fireworks that's very much related to the mega cap earnings and that Fed meeting. And there is never a shortage of things to talk about when you're market focused. How about it?
Yeah, no, I think that I think you're exactly right. Look, one of the things that I'm wondering here, just from listening to that, is, and we've seen this effect before, when we know that there's a big event coming, sometimes you get a little bit of a tightening leading up to that event. And I would
Sure.
imagine that that would be more pronounced in the summer as people are on vacation, away from their trading desks, et cetera. The volume's been really, really low in some of these indexes on a share basis. So part of me wonders, with all of that coming next week, is there almost going to be this waiting effect here this week? And will that impact some of the earnings that we do expect on Wednesday, like Tesla and Texas Instruments and Google?
And Google.
I makes me wonder.
I think it's a legit question, and time will tell. But just based on this, a 26 volatility on your at the money options this week is not pricing necessarily a snoozer. It's just the sort of obvious jump from this week to next week, and then sort of the market pricing much more normal volatility again. And this is just an estimate that can change. And that's the power of being able to sort of fashion a position based on your view of what might transpire. And it's our job in some cases to call some attention to it.
Okay. This is absolutely phenomenal. I'm really glad to I'm really kind of glad to go through all of this. I'm very curious to see how this week shakes out. I can't help it. I'm already kind of looking forward more towards a bigger earnings week, but that's good to know. Options not pricing in a snoozer this week. So even
No,
if
they're
it's
not.
okay, that's good to hear. I would turn this over to the group here real quick. After hearing Kevin, are you more or less inclined to take any of the earnings plays that we're expecting this week? Are you more or less inclined to take those for a trade? I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get an answer there for you, Kevin, but I'd be very
Next
curious
time.
to see. Yeah, I'd be very curious to see how the group is actually going to approach this.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Kevin, it's always great to have you here. Our pleasure to welcome or to talk with Kevin, head of index content at Nasdaq. Kevin, we really appreciate it. I look forward to the next breakdown here. This is always really good stuff. And it looks like our audience is getting more and more accustomed to seeing you here. So no pressure, but you're gonna have to come back next time as well.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Kevin Davitt from the Nasdaq. Thank you very much. That's a good way to start off a Monday there, folks. And so that's really interesting. Going into that, and I'm glad that he brought us that stat, because going into today or going into this week, when I first took a look at the economic data calendar, I was even talking to the producer before we went on. I was like, this might be kind of like a wait and see until we get to Wednesday. And we'll see then if it's going to be, maybe like this is just kind of the precursor. Maybe it'll be a larger wait and see the next week. But the options there are telling you not going to be a snoozer. So we should have plenty of fireworks here for some of these prints this week. Let me just ask the group. Let me just turn around and ask the group right now. What are your most anticipated companies that are reporting earnings this week? Let me know what that is. And let me know what that is, and we'll see if we can come up with some trades from that. That'll be awesome. And you know what else is really good? We get Anne-Marie tomorrow. So maybe we can actually turn Anne-Marie's segment into like an earnings power play segment where we'll talk about some of these upcoming earnings prints and see how she takes a look at that. I'd be very curious to see. I know Anne-Marie is a serial option seller, as she likes to say. So I would imagine she's going to do the same thing, but it'll be interesting to see if we can put some of those trades together. Really quick, the first answer here: Intel, Tesla, and ServiceNow are going to be some of those earnings that we are really waiting for here this week. Interestingly, that Google has not appeared yet on that. That to me, that's interesting. That is very interesting. IBM also on there. I'm most curious about IBM. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to give us content and trades to put together here for tomorrow. Really great. Really, really great stuff there. Kevin outdid himself yet again here today. So Really, really awesome. This is how we start off a Monday. Okay, let's see. Let me look at the time here. We've got 8 minutes until pre-market pulse. I've got one more very quick news story. Then we're going to do a street tweet here, which might be exciting. I really want to get the group's opinion on that. And then we can actually take a look at some more charts here when we do ticker time. So let's go ahead and throw the screen back on. Here we go. This is going to be news here about Elbit Systems. And let me actually cue this up here real quick. This one, we've talked about we've talked about other defense stocks, but let's take a look here and see what's going on. Elbit Systems, which is ticker ESLT, the stock rose in Monday's pre-market trading after the company secured more than $370 million in contracts from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Elbit Systems of America, a subsidiary of Elbit Systems, received multiple awards from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, with work expected to perform through May of 2029. The contracts highlight the company's ongoing contributions to U.S. security, showcasing its advanced technologies designed for real-time situational awareness. Elbit is scheduled to report second quarter earnings on August 11th, 2026, and Wall Street is expecting earnings of $3.66 per share, which is up from $3.23 a year earlier. Revenue is also expected to reach $2.23 billion compared with $1.97 in the previous year quarter. Stock trades at about 59.9 times earnings, which reflects a premium valuation. Now, really quickly here, there's some analyst coverage on this. And we have an average price forecast of $915. Jefferies has a hold. They recently lowered their price target to $880. That was on June 24th. JP Morgan is neutral. They recently raised their price forecast to $950 on May 27th. And I think they also, before that, had raised their price target to $930 on April 13th. Now, looking at some of the technicals here, Elbit remains in a long-term uptrend, so that's always good. Stock is trading 8.6% above its 200-day moving average of 701. And despite the near-term trends, the near-term trends remain mixed. Shares are 4% below the 50-day. So let's actually go back to Pro here real quick and take a look at this. This is going to be ticker again, ESLT. I know we've talked a lot about defense systems, but we don't talk about Elbit that much. Here's what it looks like graphically. So part of me wonders if we're going to hold this 200-day. Better still, if we get a dip below and a recapture. Look how long it's been since Elbit was at its 200-day. I mean, I feel like this has been since 2024. Yeah, September of 2024. Stock has been on a huge run here. Does this pullback towards or hopefully at the 200-day set up for another move higher? $1,000 looks to be not totally out of the question if we're able to get that bounce. So maybe keep ESLT on your watch list. And if we do hold this 200 and turn around, we might have a defense-themed swing trade on our hands for all of that. Okay, producer, let's go ahead and do street tweets. I got one for you here today. All right. I hope y'all are hungry. You know, on this show, we can't get through an hour without talking about food. Sorry, not sorry. Jersey Mike's has officially filed its public prospectus statement to go public via an IPO. The sandwich chain filed for an IPO of 43,478,261 shares of Class A common stock per the prospectus. Jersey Mike's itself is only selling 13.782 million of those shares. The remaining 30 million, just about, or 29.7 million, roughly 68% of the total offering, are being sold by existing stockholders cashing out. Expected pricing is $21 to $25 per share, and it will be applied to the NIS under the ticker JMKE. Yep, you guessed it. We're going to call that J Mike for sure. It goes without saying here. Who's interested in the Jersey Mike's IPO? You know, we talked recently about kind of consumer-facing stocks or consumer-facing companies maybe being the better place to go, especially if we're going to see more of a pullback in some of the technology, AI, semiconductor trade. Who's interested in Jersey Mike? Better still, if we get a new IPO here, who is interested in Jersey Mike's? I get a no from Sea Boogie right away. Buffalo by Bicycle is reminding everybody here that pretty much any sandwich shop can beat Subway, which I completely agree with. Ed saying, who goes to Jersey Mike's? Ed, maybe that's not a Florida thing. Maybe that's what we're learning here. Up here, Midwest, north end of the country, Jersey Mike's is definitely popular. We go together, says me. Alan says, I will not buy it right now at the IPO price. So you're not interested in 21 to 25. Alan, let me ask you a follow-up question there. If the IPO doesn't go so well and the stock comes in, is there a level that you would be interested in that? Izzy says he's not interested. Lion says no. Lion has a restaurant, so nobody's surprised that Lion's not going to buy an IPO of someone that's competition. That doesn't surprise me at all. Tyler says Jersey Mike's is good, but I had one close down near me. Fake beat reminding us to mine the lettuce, although there's some news coming out about that as well. Apparently there was a false positive. I don't know. I can't confirm. I'm not going to eat Taco Bell. And then Alan says, I want to see the financials first. Okay, Alan, that is, I'll tell you what, and I don't have the prospectus and I haven't looked through that. So it goes on to say it's hard to imagine that the stock is worth more than SoFi. This was really good stuff there. I'm with you on that. I for one, look, I've tried to trade some of these restaurants before. I most famously really tried to trade around the Portillo's expansion. Portillo's being a Chicago institution, Italian beef sandwich is delicious. And they had a really expansive or aggressive expansion plan. And the executive team did a horrific job and the stock got absolutely pounded. So I'm kind of soured on that for right now. I'm interested in this. I kind of think there's going to be some hype around here because just judging by what the chat goes through, there's kind of, let's call them feelings on both sides when it comes to Jersey Mike's. And I would imagine that's going to play out in the volatility of the stock price. I'm not interested in this in IPO, but I would be interested in watching this and seeing how it does after its IPO. And, we talked a lot about SpaceX and the typical IPO route where it IPOs, the hype takes it a little bit higher, and then it sells off. A lot of the times goes below the IPO price, bases sometimes for a year or more, and then the real move happens. I would be entirely unsurprised if Jersey Mike's fits into that as well. Okay, and then Lion also citing higher food costs. GB Slice says it's another Chipotle. Chipotle ran like crazy from its IPO, so if it's another Chipotle, there might be some money to get made there. All right, let's get back to Pro. There we go. And let's go ahead and start pre-market pulse. And we're going to check in with 13. How you doing here this morning?
Hello, good morning. I'm still a little exhausted from the weekend. I'm sure you can imagine why, but I was out of town this weekend, had some fun, and we also had the World Cup. By the way, thank you to all the visitors from around the world that came to the World Cup. Yeah. Fantastic time we had with y'all. And just want to say shout out to your media for really downplaying our country and really setting the bar so low that when you guys got here and climbed over it, you were thrilled to be here. So thank you very much for not only being awesome guests, but for helping destroy the propaganda machine that was your media.
Oh, I absolutely love that, 13. Thank you so much for that. Here. That was cold-blooded, but you know what? That was absolutely necessary. I am in complete agreement with you. I started the show by saying, just hats off. This is the best World Cup that I've ever watched. And watching the fans like the Tartan Army take over Boston, the Dutch fans take over Houston, everyone having a great time. Just the unbelievable quality that we saw on the pitch during the matches, as well as just fun by the fans. It's hard for me to imagine a scenario in which this could have gone better. So I'm completely with you on all of that. Really great stuff. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you were able to enjoy it and celebrate it. Is there anything that you wanted to take a look at here right off the bat, or should we immediately go into the movers tool?
Well, there's not a whole lot of new movers here for us to look at. There's some ones we were just trading on Friday and last week. So we can just cover that one that we have and go right into the different names that folks want to look at. See that you're already talking about Jersey Mike, which is a sub above. And, it's unusual that we, make it through an entire show without talking about food. So getting it out of the way kind of early.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I was like, the pressure's kind of off, right? Like if we talk about it and we tie it to an actual market event, now the pressure's alleviated. Everyone can lose their mind on their own accord. That's fine. But yeah, are you going to trade the Jersey Mike's IPO whenever that comes, or are you going to kind of watch it, play it by ear?
I don't know enough about what's going on with their plans for an IPO. There's how many shares and how many are going to be restricted. I want to understand all that before I decide if I want to even take a stab at it. But
yeah, fair enough. Sounds like
SpaceX.
Sounds like a lot of them are actually not going to be offered for the IPO, and it sounds like there are a lot of investors that do want to cash out. So I think that's a really smart play, kind of waiting. Okay, we do have some news here. Now, let me ask you first, what do you have on your list?
The only one that I looked at this morning that was new was ADVB, and this is and it's because there's a purchase agreement. They announced this late on Friday after the market had closed, but there's a purchase agreement that they are terminating, and that termination takes effect tomorrow.
Okay, now this is Advanced Biomed. They are a Taiwanese stock, as 13 alluded to. The company announced it delivered a notice to terminate its purchase agreement with Helena Global Investment Opportunities. That is the news catalyst that caused this to pop in the after hours on Friday. It happened again here in the pre-market, ran into some 9 resistance, coughed up the VWAP. The good news here, at least from the chart, we held this $6 level so far. We're kind of trading sideways. We do have some of our EMAs that have kind of bunched up there. So we'll see if this can end up setting a new or curling back up, maybe getting through the VWAP. Right off the bat here, I can't help it, 13. I am going to draw the trend line, because if we do start getting trading to the upside here, or kind of getting good action here on ADBV, that could potentially be a target. Really quickly, short interest, I'll run through it. 1.52% of the float shorted with 1.05 days to cover. That is nothing. I don't think we need to worry about that. The float here is 1 million, so it should trade pretty well here today. 13, what else do you have off the chart on this?
Well, fundamentally, this they're okay. They don't have revenue. This is it's a medical device company, I believe. Didn't dig too deep into what they do because they don't have any revenue. They just have a cash position. Their balance sheet, as a result, is okay because they don't have any debt really. So this is just one of those things where I don't even think it's worth grabbing and holding on to, because I don't know exactly what is going to come out of it without digging into it some more. But for the purpose of trading this today, it does have a very low float of 1 million shares. So this could be another one that just gets latched onto and taken for a ride. No guarantee that it does, but here are some things to keep an eye on. We do have this consolidation, a sideways consolidation happening here, and it's trying to recapture the 65 EMA as well as the looks like the 675 area. We do have support at the 200 EMA, and this is all on the 5-minute chart, by the way. We do have support at the 200 EMA, and as long as we don't lose that, I think this is going to be one to just keep an eye on as we approach the open. We want to see the price start to close consistently back above the 65 EMA and make its way back up to VWAP. We start getting that move, we're going to want to see that VWAP recaptured, and we might even get some more buyers to step in and take this for a ride. Like I said, no guarantee that we get all that, but we have a nice setup here in case we get that latching on. And just seeing the stock just go crazy. Very, very low float, 1 million shares, so it's possible.
Okay, we'll see what we get here with ADBV. Really good breakdown there, and game plan 13. So we'll see how this ends up shaking out here. Now, I do see a couple of other stocks on this list that I know actually have some news. So we can take a look at those, but I want to knock out a couple of the other ones that we recognize that are near the top of the list. First one in that group is going to be Bia. This is one of 13's favorites just because the sound effect is so elite, and 13 does a really good job and obviously enjoys it here. We have no fresh news for Bia on this. So we did see that this actually got, let's call it, got jiggy or started to really kind of trade on Thursday's after hours. Friday morning, we had that one pop out of the open, but it was pretty much a ghost town for the rest of the day until the after hours, where it, of course, traded up again. And then in the pre-market here today, traded up again. In fact, it put in a pre-market high here of $8.60. Notably, this has actually done a good job staying above the VWAP instead of making one of these impulse moves that immediately crashing and giving it up. It's actually done a good job staying above it. Seems like it's kind of riding the 15 EMA higher here. So this is no catalyst. A quick reminder here, the short interest, 4%, 1 day to cover, not a whole lot. Float is 2.69 million. 13, I know that this is just kind of a junky China mover and doesn't really have a whole lot going on, but do you have anything on the chart that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I would be watching for a loss of VWAP. That I think would be the signal that we're going to head lower. It's been riding that indicator up pretty much all morning, save for a few dips here and there beneath it that were quickly recaptured. So I think I would just be keeping an eye on how it behaves with VWAP as we approach the open. If we lose it, then the 65 EMA is next, and then VWAP becomes resistance. So that's what I'd be keeping an eye on. If we don't lose VWAP and we start heading up from here, we do have resistance at the 825 area.
Okay, 825, another key level there. Look, Lion often criticizes us, literally scolds us, and tells us to do our programming differently when we talk about some of these smaller stocks. But Lion here today, even him, saying BIA has printed us some good money in the past. So don't forget about that. Again, nothing going on here. Definitely has some risk to it, but Lion's right. This one has actually made the group money before. We've seen this move before, so maybe at least keep it on your radar there in case something happens. Okay, couple of others that I know are moving on news. AMC, right? Yep, AMC Theaters. AMC Entertainment Holding shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results. We also had the CEO was on CNBC earlier talking about those results, although I didn't pay much attention because I was preparing for our show here today. We did pop as high, didn't quite get to 240, looks like 238 stopped it, but realistically 225 to 230 was the area that we were kind of holding in there. Short interest on AMC, 5.96% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover. This is obviously much higher float, almost a billion shares coming in at 887 million. 13, really quickly, do you have anything here on AMC? Do you think it's because of the Odyssey and the weekend that it had at the box office, the biggest film this week at the box office? Anything here on AMC?
I think with one of the headlines here that was pretty much tells you everything you need to know. AMC attracts more than 4.3 million moviegoers worldwide as the Odyssey delivers the biggest opening weekend for an R-rated film across AMC's U.S. circuit since 2024. And I think that's important, that last part there, because we've talked about how last year, 2025, was one of the worst years for movies in decades, like 30 years. So the bar is really low for earnings this year to do really well year over year. So I think that's the important takeaway here is that when they say that, it's the best since the last good year we had. Then
so it's the best jumping over a low bar.
Right. So now that being said, this year has been a much better year for movies, and I've been talking a lot about how there's a lot of interest with these small indie movies that are and some of these movies that are made by YouTubers like Backrooms and Obsession. So you have a lot of younger audiences coming back to the theater to see something that's being put out by people closer to their generation. So there's that lift it's getting as well. So it's really a couple of things, but I believe mostly it has to do with the fact that last year was so bad for movies in general that this year has just got a low bar to step over.
Okay, that's actually a really good take. We'll see how that shakes out here, and we'll see if AMC provides us any trades here today. Odysseus should have just called an Uber. LOL. Okay, and Zach, I'd be curious. I've seen Greek people have different takes on this. So if you do see it, or if some of your circle of influence, like the people that you're close to see it, I'd be very curious on what your kind of overall take is on that. But that's just as an aside. Okay. Was there anything else on, real quickly, let me just cover the one more here. This is IREN. There's two more, sorry. IREN here, they also had some news. IREN shares are trading higher after the company announced it raised its year-end AI cloud annualized revenue run rate target. I needed to make sure I got that out there. So numbers being raised for end of the year, stocks up 7.82%. This thing's been really volatile. If you take a look at the daily chart, this is what IREN is looking at. Now, the interesting thing here is that it sure looked like we were at a support between $32, $33 here. Now we're bouncing off of this. So maybe do we make a run back up to some of these recent highs? The range on this is crazy, even $60. That would be an almost double from where we're at right now. Do you think IREN might be setting up for a move higher here off support on the back of that news? That's just kind of how I wanted to prepare this, given some of the news. Quick peek here at the short interest just to get everyone on the same page. 21.97% of the float shorted, 2 days to cover. So it is high on percent of float shorted, not high on days to cover, 345 million shares in the float. 13, you have any thought here on IREN? I know I'm throwing you a curveball. You didn't necessarily prepare for this. And all of that. And if you want to dig more into the actual numbers themselves, fair point. But anything on IREN here?
Can you go to a daily chart?
Absolutely, I can.
Can you draw a trend line from November 2025 through the high of
Absolutely,
January 2026 and keep it going through today's price?
Through what was the second date? Sorry, I got
the high of January.
Right there?
Yeah, it's draw through that.
Right there?
Yes. So I think we're bouncing off this trend line. We'll see if this can recapture. I would say 40 is the spot we want to see this get back above. Maybe a little bit higher than that, because when you look to the left in earlier this year, from basically about early February to early April, there's a bunch of consolidation right in that $40 area. It's kind of the midpoint. So it looks like to me $40 is an important level to get back over, but there are some other levels that need to be recaptured north of that as well. But I think that's the next one to watch for is if we get back above 40, then okay, well, maybe we're trying to recover here, but it's just the first step. If we get rejected there, then I can say, okay, well, we're headed lower then. But we did kind of double bottom just recently here with this with Friday's candle, and we are coming off of some about the same lows that we've been getting every time that this is had a sell-off. The RSI has gone down to the low 30s most of the time before it recovers. So it seems like this is trying to turn around right about here. And that's why I'm pointing out 40, because if we can recapture that, then maybe we are in a recovery.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on IREN. Last one that I wanted to cover here real quick, and I see it dropping down the list, so that might not be great. This is actually going to be Archer. Ticker ACHR. Everyone should be familiar with this one. We trade the EV tolls a lot. They actually had news here today as well that caused the stock to pop there in the pre-market. Archer Aviation and Anduril launched jointly developed autonomous VTOL, an aircraft platform for defense and commercial configuration. Now, right on the surface there, this sounds awesome. This sounds like this could really kind of help, and we saw the pop there, so it obviously popped Archer a little bit higher. But I did kind of go through this a little bit. Here are some of the notes. So first of all, this is strategically positive for Archer, but it is not an immediate revenue or cash flow event. And I think that is going to be important. I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing this pop come back in. It reinforces a longer dated defense and dual use thesis that could be meaningful if they land the program of record for on-follow production. So this could be good. Large potential market. It's politically aligned with Anduril. The capital is ready to go. There's an industrial capability of build out. But again, with this PR here, no contracts. No contracts are named. No revenue amounts are made. No dollar amounts are named. There's a long timeline, which means there's a ton of execution risk in this. So even if it sounds good on the surface, how good is it actually going to be? Well, I'm not too sure. And then also, one of the things we've already learned about this is that this is an incredibly capital-intensive business, and none of that is changing from all of this. So 13, I know that's just kind of a minor breakdown. Perhaps you didn't have a chance to go through all of this, and if you do, I'd definitely be curious on a follow-up there. Real quick, 16.38% of the float is shorted, 2.56 days to cover. And Archer, just a reminder of the float here, Archer 662 million shares in the float. 13, quite all right if you don't have a whole lot of thought from the news because you haven't gone through it, but hopefully you can at least take a look at the chart. And would you mind if I stepped away and went to the washroom briefly?
Oh, sure, that's fine. I was just going to comment a little bit about what I, just reading real quickly here. Apparently, Anduril did showcase their variant, the defense variant that they're going to develop together jointly with Archer. Because as you said, they're developing both defense and commercial applications. So they unveiled their defense platform, and it's called Thunder. And I hope I can just, I don't know how they unveiled it, but I can only hope that they got licensing from AC/DC to unveil it with Thunder, so or Thunderstruck. So that would be amazing if that happened. But I can only dream. Aside from that, this seems pretty interesting. And it's when I look at this picture, I can't help but think, wow, they almost copied the design exactly from Avatar. It's hilarious. But you know what? Sometimes, the things that we see in movies can inspire, real businesses. I mean, we're always talking about how, we're in the iRobot or the Terminator timeline. Which one it is, we don't know yet. But I think this is very interesting. It does look like this could be, fantastic for troops on the battlefield. But I haven't read enough into this, so I don't really have a lot of comments on it. But let's look at the chart. I just thought that was a fantastic name that they had there.
Really quickly, what was the fantastic name? I just got back a little too late, I'm afraid.
Oh, so their defense variant, because you said they're releasing a defense and commercial application for this. Their defense variant is called Thunder. So I was just, kind of gushing about how, in my mind, when they released that, they played AC/DC's Thunderstruck as they were unveiling it. I can only hope that that's how they did it. But if they didn't, oh well. Anyway, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're down here at the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, trying to find some support, and this is about where the highs were from Friday. So this is an area that I think we're going to want to see. Imagine we're going to want to see this turnaround right about here and start to recover. And if we don't get that and we start losing the 65 EMA, well, then we're likely going to fall right back into the sideways consolidation from the after hours and the pre-market. So this is right now is a crucial point for the price action. There is a buyer in the way here at 455. So we'll see if that particular area holds up. But I think that's going to have to happen next if we're going to see this turn around and trade higher.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there with Archer. Now, that was all I had from the list. I did see several of you mention that Ondas released a press release after the show started. So obviously I didn't have any means of going through this here. I'll check on this real quick. Please give me some time, though, to actually go through it a little bit before I give you more of an opinion on this. Ondas receives a $6.9 million order from the Australian Department of Defense for its DTIM single operator counter UAS kits. So they've recently increased their full year guide to above 500 million. So this $7 million contract, well, that's good. That kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about in terms of percentage here. Again, give me some time to actually go through the press release to see how much of this they're going to get, how much of this is guaranteed, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, this is good. This is when we talk about execution, we want to see more contracts. We want to see contracts with dollar figures in them. We want to be able to understand if the company is actually executing on its goal. And so far, at least from the surface here, it looks like that's the case. Ondas higher by 3% here in the pre-market. Remember, this thing has really come back in. So I wouldn't be shocked if we're actually going to have a bounce here pretty soon. I'm still a long-term believer in this, despite some of the noise out there. It's really, really pulled back. Now we've got some news here. Let's see how it trades here today. 13, is there anything else from this list that you'd like me to focus on?
So the only other things that I was looking at today that may have, trade opportunities are ones we've already seen before. We've already mentioned SDOT and VMAR were also moving pretty well this morning. So those might also provide a trade. I mean, let's see here with SDOT. SDOT looks like that's already been giving a bunch of price action here this morning. But let's see let's see what happens when we open, because it's starting to look like it's weakening. It should have, I think, when I look at this formation, I think it should have already made the move higher by now, and it hasn't. So I think I would wait on this one because it looks like this could drop out of the open. On the other hand, VMAR, this one looks like after this recent recapture of the VWAP, like it wants to go higher right now, but you do have some resistance at 115.
Okay, so here's VMAR. Excuse me, 13. I'm sorry about that. That 115 literally stands out like a sore thumb. Absolutely right on that one. Okay. Anything else that you folks want to take a look at? We got 8 minutes till we open here. Did we hit all of the movers? ZYBT looks like this was probably in penny territory early. This is a China name, up 90% here. Factor that into your trade plan. We don't have news on this name since June 4th. So this here moving plus 100%, no news, previously a penny stock. Be careful with that one. Be careful with that one. I'm just checking in on some of these. BIA, this is just shy of 8, so that is continuing here. ADBV got mentioned in the chat earlier. This is curling up through the 65 EMA. Again, we'll see if we get to that VWAP. I did notice that CJMB is on the list. This moved on Friday. Looks like Thursday in the after hours. Friday morning, we had attempts at the VWAP, could never get above it. Today, we're basically right back at that 130 spot. Tyler wants to take a look at Honeywell, which is like a real company, so we can go do that if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. If we missed anything big from the movers list, let us know. Kathy, we can do FSL after this. Let's go ahead and take a look at Honeywell here. Tyler, please forgive me. I'm not familiar with the news. I didn't break that down prior to us coming on here today.
Hey, real quick. ZYBT, this is a potential recompliance play. So they have until November to regain compliance, but this is one where it needs to get back over $1 and stay there for 10 days consecutively. Or have some kind of plan in place to regain compliance. Just watch for news on recompliance, or if you're looking for one of those that moves on gaining recompliance or the hint of it, you could put this one on your radar because this is subject to that.
Okay. Okay, now for Honeywell, stock's up 0.5% here. You were saying that there is some news here today. Honeywell Aerospace Runway Safety Technology is selected by Aero Mexico for intended deployment in more than 100 aircraft. Indigo makes a historic selection of Honeywell's aerospace avionics and APUs to equip 810 new Airbus aircraft in the fleet expansion here. So these both sound really good, like they're using new equipment, and Honeywell Aerospace will deliver this. I would probably have to break these PRs down a little bit more. I'll tell you what, this sounds positive on the surface. Honeywell, not an active pre-market trader, and this is actually coming out 3 days ahead of its earnings, which is slated for Thursday. Interesting.
So the news isn't for HON, it's for HONA.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. These always get tagged together.
But so it's weird.
Do we want to look at the HONA chart then?
Well, yeah, because we have
aerospace. Yeah, you're right.
Because we haven't seen the movement really, and I'm just like, well, that's kind of weird. Because this is the one that it's literally for. I don't know that maybe many people don't realize that this recently spun off from Honeywell, and because it hasn't. Let me see how many days. It's like literally June 29th. It spun off, so less than a month ago. It spun off from Honeywell and is traded separately. I know because I owned Honeywell before it happened. Anyway, so yeah, this should be. I mean, in my mind, it should be HONA that moves, but HONA doesn't report until August 5th. Just to put that out there.
Okay, so we're kind of thinking that HONA might be the mover here. That kind of takes that 3-day earning thing off the table, like you just outlined. Might be worth watching both here. Yeah. I'll tell you what, if this thing really continues to like move high, I know it's down here in the pre-market, so let's see how it does. But if this thing continues to move higher and moves towards 220, we might have another move back towards a gap here that looks like it fills almost up at 240, 238 in there. I know that there's some wicks in there, but looks kind of gappy, and looks like there's some significant resistance up here at 250. So if this thing can really turn around again, maybe another potential swing trade here. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm not necessarily following this one. I certainly have no position on it at this time, but we'll see what we end up getting here.
So real quick, Joe, I do like railroads. I have UNP. we were getting asked if V is going to.
I wanted to talk about that. Thank you for highlighting that, 13.
Real quick with that one, it looks like VWAP has been the big stickler here for upside. So that's what I'd be watching. You still have a bunch of the other EMAs that we look at in the way, the 200, the 65, and all the smaller ones. But it looks like it just recently maybe had a capitulative move down and then a quick move back up. It could be turning around here. So as we approach the open, watch for some upside from V. I don't know what this is going to end up doing, but certainly VWAP has been a problem this morning for upside.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you're bringing that up because honestly, this candle that we got on Friday, this don't look great, right? This kind of looks like a topping candle, huge wick to the upside, candle's red to begin with. Actually looks like we might go lower, but when you look inside, look what this is doing here today. Mm-hmm. This move in the pre-market, it's actually holding that low. So right off the bat here, I got to think 36 is going to be a key level here. And if you break this, you might have some more downside. But if we're able to recapture 40, which is basically where the sideways area was in the pre-market, maybe we can challenge the top end of this candle here. We know that this company is moving like crazy. It was super volatile last week. Let's see if we get that here today. I'd watch that 36 if this continues to pull. It's down 4.5% here, so no guarantees this moves higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we do have a very important level at around 35.50. This, has been support. It was support from Friday in the regular session and the after hours, and it looks like this was a bit of a consolidation area on Thursday as well, kind of like the midpoint of it. So I think where we're bouncing off a pretty important support area that if we lose, might spell some more downside for us. Maybe down underneath 30.
Yeah. Okay. There you go on V. We got less than a minute. I'm going to flip over to the main workspace. And again, I apologize if I get distracted here today because my trader bot is making its debut here on paper trading. And we're going to see how that does. I'll keep you posted on the results of that, by the way. All right.
List some of the railroad faves. Well, I think one of the ones you talked about was or mentioned there was good. I'll get to it in a little bit here later this morning. But yeah, I will.
13 never disappoints, so no problem there. No problem there. Okay, let's see. Archer, this is right back to 463 right before we open.
And here we go.
There it is. We are open.
All right. Out of the gate, ADVB lower.
Yeah, we're kind of watching this pre-market low here, 615 on ADBV. Also going to watch some of the option transactions here.
Looks like BIA is trying to push up through 8. There's a seller at 8. Archer trying to turn around and regain some territory here. Looks like, there we go. I was going to say, looks like we might move up to 470, 475. We're at the doorstep of that price now. 475 is going to be VWAP. At least that's what I've got.
Alan saying, I just wanted to say that you guys are doing an awesome job with this channel. I'm impressed. We will take that. Really appreciate the kind words. Alan, though, don't go light on us. Tell us what we can do to improve this. We are always looking up. We are always looking forward. And we want this to be a show that really benefits the community. We take feedback from that. So don't be shy with some of the feedback. If you need an email to email us some in-depth thoughts, we'd be happy to provide that as well.
Archer trading over VWAP now, looking to get above 480. Looks like AMC went briefly beneath the 65 EMA and VWAP, then recaptured. Now we're trying to get back above this consolidated area from the pre-market.
ACHR, definitely going to watch that one. V, by the way, looks like it is trying to come back into 36. We'll see if it holds this here. But Archer, this is rolling.
SkyQ up into a halt. Okay. So there must be some Warner Brothers news or some regarding the deal. Let's see. You know what? I'm I'm thinking of a different company. I'm sorry.
You're thinking of P-Sky. You're thinking of P-Sky.
Yeah.
This is on the
Sky
oil
Quarry. I'm
trade.
sorry. This is
okay.
the oil. So sorry.
Really quickly, 13. Your halt time on this 9:31:28. That means our expected unhalt time is 9:36:28. We'll see if it does unhalt at that point.
Yeah, the Sky and the ticker got me screwed up. Sorry about that. So Sky Quarry. It looked like there was some kind of attempt to, some Qatari and Pakistani officials, urged or suggested that we restart mediation or try to get the MOU back on track. That's the most recent news I heard.
I have heard that they were proposing a 10-day ceasefire. I think that patience have kind of worn thin, not just by the people involved, but the market participants as well, for whatever that's worth. So we'll see on that. By the way, while this is all taking place now, SkyQ is still halted here, so we'll check that out when it unhalts. Look at SPY though, right up to 748 here. This was resistance in the pre-market. We'll see if this is resistance again. SPY here, first move is higher out of the gate.
Okay, but we're still like pretty much in that same consolidation range.
Apple looks like it traded up to 334 and pulled a little bit, but is still staying higher than 332 at the moment. Ondas, that little sell dip, got bought right away. Too early to make a judgment on that. LCID getting mentioned here by ICMyK in the chat. I beg your pardon. Let's see what Lucid did here today. Okay, Lucid, move higher and a pullback to the VWAP. Does it hold here at 740 is the question.
It looks like Sky Quarry may have broken through some resistance here. I'm looking at a 15-minute chart because I was trying to find some levels here for when we unhalt.
Sure.
So when I look at a 15-minute and I go back towards, closer to the beginning of the month, like around the 7th or 8th, you can see that we had this high. That's like the 8th. We had this high. It was also this around the same high on the 13th. And we just broke above that. So I think we may have broken out of resistance here on Sky Q. So we're going to want to see if I would say 435, 440 holds.
Okay. That was back in the May month, it looks like. And actually, if you look into the previous month here, it actually, to me, looks like 430 is a key level that we busted above. That would be a back test level to keep in mind.
Yep. That's it. Archer, speaking of back testing, that's going to back test VWAP as support. We'll see if that holds.
Nikhil saying, Ryan, did I hear you are trying out a SPY Auto Zero DTE bot? Yes, my trading bot utilizes the SPY Zero DTE strategy that I've been monitoring and kind of trying to execute on my own here, as well as the fair value gap. But the fair value gap strategy, I have a limited universe of stocks because I just don't know how it's going to trade with some of the smaller ones. So I'm still kind of testing some of that out. But yes, this is the first time that I'm trying to get a paper trading idea of how this is going to perform. I'll keep you posted on it. Nothing yet from it. IREN, which we talked about earlier, this is trading at the highest 1-minute volume. That is moving higher. It looks like 38 now. Yeah. We'll see if IREN can get above 40.
Looks like you got a trend line there as well. Pre-market highs, just connect those.
On IREN?
Yeah, just the pre-market highs. Yeah.
The one from the initial here, or
the opening around 420, and then the high at about 705.
And that is a steep trend line, buddy.
It is, but this is a steep series of candles we're getting right now, and that kind of takes us up to 40, which isn't too far away now. We'll see if we get there.
Ryan Milligan saying, what trading bot do you use? Ryan, I custom coded my own using Grok Build. So I'm actually using the terminal in Mac to run the bot itself, and I also coded up a dashboard to track the performance that I'm running locally.
Okay, so Sky Q popped to 483, coming back to test the VWAP. This thing's up and around a bit. Same thing with Archer, that's testing its VWAP. Wolf is running with a U.
Archer looks like it's finding resistance right up there at 488, 490-ish.
Look at Wolf on a different chart here. Did we go underneath? Yeah. Oh, okay. So
is this Wolf with the U? 13?
Yeah, Wolf with the U. So I'm looking at a daily chart, and with my lagging moving averages, the 200-day SMA. We just tested that yesterday, and we are bouncing right off of it this morning. So, or away from it this morning. Looks like somewhere between 1950 and 20 is the next resistance area, because that was support before we lost it last week.
SkyQ has resumed right at the anticipated time. We went up to what looks like 481, 482, and we've pulled back a little bit, but we're still holding the high of this initial candle.
Oh,
SPY, by the way, continues to trade above the pre-market high. No signals generated by 0 DTE yet.
So Sky Quarry, this was a 200-day EMA recapture after getting rejected multiple days there. So that's another moving average that's in play here. So do we think $40 IRN is a good thing or resist? I mean, that's just where our target is from based on the trend line that we drew. If it gets there, that is likely we're viewing as a sell target. And we don't even know if it'll get up there. That's just something that we drew to look for levels to sell into, and that lines up pretty nicely with $40. So $40.
And meanwhile, you have Archer coming back up to the high here. I have this at 487 right here, 488 right at the high. Let's see if it goes and sets a new. Actually, it did. So it looks like 487 was the previous one. 488, your new intraday high. That's going to be a level. Archer's still sitting around here. I do see stock for sale on the level 2 here, but they're taking it. Watch Archer here for a possible bust above. We'll see if 5 is next.
Okay. You can draw a trend line during the regular session of Friday's price action, and that gives us the resistance that we're finding here with Archer today, at least in the pre-market.
I think you're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, dude. That is, man, how is it that perfect all the time?
I see some shit. But so what's interesting here is that this is, it went up to almost 5 exactly and then came back in, but we don't have ignoring the highs, there's the closes, all the closes are beneath, $5 still, or well, now they're higher because of this most recent candle. But it looks like this is going to be the trend line that you either take profits in, or if we break through it, I think the next spot is going to be 520. Like if we run through 520 looks like the next resistance.
Joe, Ryan, is your 0 DTE SPY buy sell signal not operative for some time after the opening? Yes, I have very clearly defined trade windows. The first trade window is 9:35 to 9:50. So for that first 5 minutes, it does absolutely nothing. Then for the next, 15 minutes, it looks for some. Then there's a 10-minute break between 9:50 and 10, and from 10 to 10:20 is going to be your trade 2 window. Ryan, take care of yourself. Have a good one.
Take your line. ADVB, this is above the VWAP now, trying to trade higher, but it's currently still fighting through that same resistance it was running into earlier in the pre-market, or around 645. So if we get some more volume here, we can push through that area and maybe see the get near 8. 8 looks like the next resistance area beyond 735.
See if we could end up breaking there. I did just get a signal here on the 0 DTE for a buy. It looks like it wants to try and push higher. I'm not trading this myself. I do want to see how the bot ends up working here, if it even does work. Like I said, this is the first test, so I may need to do some retooling tonight if it doesn't produce anything, but we'll see. Looks like it's running without issue. No errors yet.
All right, well, let's see. ADVB starting to attack that 735 area again.
And it looks like Archer, by the way, slowed down there at 490. So it just did not have the strength to go through that. Let me see if I can discover anything from the level 2 here on ADVB. Absolutely looks like it ran into resistance right at the VWAP.
Oh, nice.
And right through now.
Nice. Let's go. Looks like, and here we go. We're running into that resistance around 740, 735, 740 there.
Yep. And it's still flirting with VWAP as we speak. I'll keep an eye here on the option calendar here as well. See if we get any option flow that's of note. Sorry, get in there.
IREN, it's trying to get through 39. It's trading up here. We have a 39.16 print, so it's not too far away from that 40 now. And we still don't know if we'll get up there, but this is still making its way higher. SkyQ still hanging above its VWAP for the moment. Archer.
ADVV still ran into that resistance right at VWAP just as we anticipated. DRAM, this is the Round Hill Memory ETF. This is actually up 4.25%. This is going to challenge Friday's intraday highs. We'll see if it has the strength to break over. Let me check in on Micron real quick.
Yeah, so this is the thing that I'm a little concerned about with all these memory names. Not necessarily SKHY, because we don't have enough price history to see it. Even though you could use the price history from the South Korean exchange. These are all coming back up to try and recapture their 50-day SMA. That, I think, could mean they get a rejection there. And if we do, then we're going lower. So I think that is what we could be seeing here. And seeing as how we're kind of trading into the tech earnings now, because that's what starts happening this week. It really does set up for the price action of a rejection if those investor concerns about whether AI is going to get their, AI hyperscalers are going to get their money back. I think this really does set us up for a rejection of the 50 if those earnings reports are not where they need to be to take us higher.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that, 13. I think that's good.
ADVB is still trying to push through that 740, 735 area. It's kind of just hanging out there right now. Getting it. We just pushed a little bit through it. Man.
Yep. And now 745. We're going to see here. That volume stick looks good too.
Yep. Next resistance is going to be around 775. You see in the after hours on Friday, that was the area where we were running into resistance. And then in the pre-market here this morning, we blasted past that. And when we came back down, that was support briefly before it became resistance. So next spot here of that we're going to potentially trade up to and find maybe even get a rejection is that 775 area.
AMC looks like it's banging on or trying to bang on 240.
Archer still holding above VWAP for the moment. If it can hold above VWAP, find its footing, we might still get that move through $5 that could take us up to 520. And then IREN, we're still moving up. 930.
Look, we even talked about the steepness of the trend line, and
yes.
We are moving right. That's unbelievable, 13. I'm never going to dispute you. You come up with a trend line ever.
Okay, but look, it's we still haven't got there yet, and we're really running into we're getting into some real resistance here. But I mean, it's great to for a potential target, and we're not done here yet either, so it still may hit it later on.
G-Man says SPY, not that easy. 748.64 is a fighter. It actually looks like that is going to be the intraday resistance here. I did get a sell signal on the 0 DTE indicator, so that would have been a scalp for pennies at best.
S-Dot looks like this is trying to snap 35 35 here in a bit. It's getting some aggressive volume going here. MACD's turning around. 35 is the spot that looks like it's been providing the most resistance. So just keep an eye on S dot there for a potential breakout trade. And then there was somebody asking about AMC levels. Izzy was asking for AMC levels. Let's take a look.
Okay, let me go to the bigger chart for that. I'll come back to the main chart here when we dive back in, but let me pull up AMC.
On a daily chart, we're kind of facing a gap fill here. We're in it right now, and this is a gap from June 22nd to June 23rd. I don't remember what the news was here that made us gap down, but we are filling that right now, and that could take us up to around 275 if we're going to fill that. So another 40 cents higher we could go here just today if we do see this intraday gap fill. There is going to be some resistance. It looks like around 250. Looking to the left, that is a historical support and resistance level. And then if we do fill the gap, the next resistance you have above that is the 500-day SMA, which I have at about 294. S dot.
Right, let's see what we get on AMC. Let me go back to the main one here. I got S dot on screen.
Okay, so looks like that high that we hit was 34.69. Pulling back off of that, we'll see if we get another attempt to break through that. But very clearly, 35, the breakout spot. Going to need some more volume though.
All right, we did see Ondas roll higher from the pre-market high. We're seeing Velo pull back. We're also seeing Apple pull back. Now, Apple so far is doing its absolute best to hold 330. See if Apple can do that. WIS mentioning CJMB. So here, by the way, here's your Apple chart. Also worth noting here that this 329 area might provide some support. We'll see. Here's CJMB. What's happening with that? That poked higher here, 140. We talked about that level from Friday's intraday high, that being challenged here.
AMC, we did have a pop to new highs. Kind of see a little bit of a trend here that may have taken us up to, not quite. Well, we did get a pop to slightly new highs of 239. Now we're coming right back down to the VWAP. There's maybe support at 220, where there's a buyer in the way there. So we'll see if they get some support that keeps it above VWAP. But nasty pull here. We're still kind of broadening here at AMC.
Mm-hmm. Big B saying coin stocks are running like HUT and MSTR. Bitcoin also holding here just shy of 65K. Actually looks like it's trying to break that to the upside. 64,800 on the futures. I'm going to quickly check some of these. Here's coin. That little dip and rip. MSTR was the other one that Big B's mentioned there. Let me check that. And with 13, I'll get you in here.
Oh, no, I was just looking at some stuff because, it seems like, some of these risk-on names are getting attention. And I wonder if that's because this is tech week or the start of tech earnings.
Yeah. And we might, I would expect some poll questions coming here later in the week, by the way, on this. ACHR, boom. This basically went to the trend line, still flirting with that trend line here, Izzy. We'll see if this has enough to get above it. My bot has made no buys, at least not so far. And it actually looks like I'm getting feedback from the bot itself. So if nothing gets filled here, I'll at least have data to work off of and figure out what happened. So that's good. Encouraged by that so far. CLSK getting mentioned by Tess. That is also moving. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Nice. Nice move out there on CLSK. Iron, 39.73 it popped up to. So don't know if this is going to be finally be the candle that reverses us here, but still very, very close to our 40 print. Didn't quite get it yet, and it looks like this could be turning over, but don't want to say that it is until we still get a little bit more price action out of this. It's still got over 3 minutes left in this candle.
ZYBT, this is that Chinese biotech stock. I think this had no news. This was running in the pre-market. This now at the highs.
Let's take a look at this.
Volume does look weak, Brian, and in fact, SPY's rolled over here through the VWAP. So as tech.
ZYBT, if this keeps going, you have a really stiff area of resistance at $2. Just look at the daily chart to the left there, and you'll see that this was basically a consolidation area for quite a while before we lost it, and then that's when the selling really started to accelerate.
Yeah.
So $2 is going to be a big resistance area for ZYBT if you're trading.
Yeah, no question. No question. And G-Man, you're right. SPY lost VWAP, no bueno. In fact, that pulled through the VWAP. SPY looks like it might roll to the lows here. But we'll see if it breaks through the pre-market sideways area first.
Big pull in a lot of stuff. The oil and gas names look like they're starting to get some attention now. It's got Sky Quarry that was whipping back and forth above and below VWAP. Now it's looks like this is trying to push through the resistance area it was running into around 485. We'll see if it can get through that. If we can get through that, then we'll see the other side of 5.
ADVB, easy for me to say. This pulled off of that first attempt to go through the VWAP, but it looks like it might be gearing again. It is holding 7. Would still watch this 726 area, see if it moves through there. I actually just broke 7, so now we're going to look for some support. Let's see here. ADVB, no position. I am watching to see if it sets up for another move through VWAP.
Yeah, it does look like iron is kind of getting a little weak here, but still trading very well above VWAP.
CJM, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, even if we still get some more movement down in iron, if we hold above VWAP, there's a good possibility that we find its footing and it can still hit that trend line. But
and iron, no stranger to moving wildly too,
yeah.
So that's definitely a distinct possibility. By the way, CJMB, this did go through the intraday New York session high from Friday. So it looks like this is kind of gearing up. I would really want to see this volume continue to expand here. This is not enough to feel good about this trade yet, in my opinion.
It looks like that brief attention in oil and gas was short-lived, because now we have those movers running again. Look at SDOT. This is taking another shot at going through 35. It's actually on the other side of 35 right now. Let's see if this candle can actually hold above it. It's like Archer trying to bounce off VWAP. Iron starting to bounce a little bit. Maybe we do get our 40 print.
SPY continuing to roll over, getting a ton of sell signals. Remember, sell signals also double as short signals. Full disclosure, the bot that I have, we are not even telling it to do short trades until I can iron out the long side trades. Once we do that, we'll have it become more active. But for right now, we're just looking for long side trades off the 2 studies. And we haven't really gotten much. We've got 1 buy signal here, and it was immediately met with a whole bunch of sells, things rolling over. Apple dying. Apple did, in fact, break 330 to the downside here. So it's at 328 and change. This did take out Friday's intraday lows. SpaceX continuing to pull. Good mention there,
yeah.
Trey.
And that's that test flight 13 has now moved to Thursday, since we didn't get that launch on what was it? Thursday, right? I think it was Thursday. Anyway, last week. So because we had 4 engines that didn't start up, and when they have to do an emergency shutdown like that, it can sometimes damage other things. So they're replacing 2 engines, and then they should roll it back out, stack it, and launch it. I don't think that they're planning on doing another static fire test after the engine swap. So we'll see this Thursday if they can light that candle or not.
SpaceX, this sure looks like this wants to continue to roll lower here, folks.
Fine, just break it in. And if you're Benzinga Pro subscriber, I'll post a chart that I have here that outlines all the different share unlock dates. Because between Q2 and Q3, we're gonna have like 7% tranches, like 5 of them, I think. Yeah, 7% tranches. They're generally 15 to 20 days apart between Q2 and Q3. So expect a lot of shared, a lot of shares to hit the market. I mean, and that could make this a little bit harder to trade to the upside. And there's also going to be share dilution with that purchase of AnySphere.
Real quick here, Alan, I think I'm going in on SpaceX around 115. Okay, this was an initial question that we had for the group when SpaceX first debuted. What price are you looking to add this at? We have a wide distribution of prices here. I think they go as low as 60. I think someone has a $60 price target here, but I think there are a lot at 80, 90, and 100. Alan here at 115. And then, Alan, the only other thing that I would ask here, just tactically thinking, if you did add at 115 and the stock came in lower, what would you feel comfortable dollar cost averaging down to? I'm with you in your long-term view here. I think this is going to be a great opportunity, but I think there's going to be a move lower here that's going to allow us to add this at a more attractive price. We've talked about that quite a bit. I personally am targeting like $90, so anywhere around there. But I don't know that we're going to get that low. I would keep buying at a low cost. Okay. Any low cost. Gotcha. By the way, ADBV.
Yeah.
It looks like it's trying. Now, we did get a wick to the upside here, 13, but it looks like it's trying.
New slightly higher session high, but still a little bit spready. Trading above VWAP is a good sign here. Let's see. We want to see this. I think I said 775 was the next spot with this one. But yeah, that's the next one. 775, 780. That's the next area where it looks like the resistance was. So we'll see if we can get through that. There was just some things here I wanted to address. Where is it? Oh, where do I post my thoughts in Benzinga? It's in the happy hour channel.
I can show it. Show it. So for anyone that has Benzinga, you would just click the chat icon in the upper right corner to open side chat. I have mine docked to the left. The key here is that once you open the chat, you have to use the chat room selector at the top to select the happy hour chat room. That is the one that 13 posts a majority of his content at. And I don't see any posts this morning, though.
No, because I usually do all my salutations and everything after the show.
Right. I'm sorry. But anyway, happy hour chat room is the one that you want to go to. 13 is a moderator of that chat room. But that's how you access it.
And then Joe is asking, when do I anticipate that SpaceX tech matures to the point of big profitability beyond Starlink? Well, so I think you're referring mostly to Starship because their tech has already matured. I mean, they're regularly sending their Falcon 9 rockets up and regularly landing them and reusing them. There's they pridefully display how many reusable launches they've had on their website. So I think their tech has matured, but when we're talking about this new version of Raptor engines and Starship itself, that's going to be used for taking all this massive space infrastructure, to deploy in low Earth orbit and around the moon before we make our way to Mars eventually. It's going to take. I would think that it's going to probably take some time, maybe next year. It just really depends on hitting certain milestones, and I think maybe once SpaceX demonstrates they can do orbital refueling with Starship, that's when I think you'll see the stock really start to get a lot of attention. But I think we need to just be patient. There's a lot of share unlocks happening, a lot of more dilution events happening. And a lot of folks were mentioning that this, could go under $100. I believe it can too. But I also think that some folks are making a great point about how, down at 110, 115, it's still going to be a good price to pick it up for the long term. And if you have a long-term horizon, I think you're going to be fine. But I still want better prices.
Yeah, so do I. I'm with you on that. Joe here saying, let me rephrase. When does SpaceX business plan mature to the point of big profitability? I think one of the things that you can really kind of look at as a metric, which I think is what you're getting at here, is when the cost per kilogram of moving into orbit goes down significantly. One of the things that SpaceX has talked about is with Starship, they're going to be able to bring the cost of bringing materials to orbit down so much that is where you're going to see a lot of profitability. Now, how long will that take? I think that's an open question. Trey here is saying a decade, especially if you believe in servers in space. We've talked about this before. We suspect that you're going to see compute go into space sooner than that, probably on small scale. So instead of, and I think 13, I think the way that you mentioned this is stop thinking about a gigantic data center floating around in orbit and instead think of a bunch of smaller satellites that do compute and communicate with each other via lasers.
Well, I maybe lasers. I think that would certainly make sense, but that I don't know if we'll see exactly that ADVB hitting that.
I know. I'm just
right now.
I'm just going to start look at this. This thing really quickly, 13. This popped up to the VWAP, kind of shook around there a little bit, but actually used the 15 EMA as some support and the 9 EMA. Now it's blasted through that. So monitor this trade. 13. I'm sorry.
I don't think he's necessarily off with that amount of time, because it is going to be a while to get enough of these satellites that we need in order to make a data center equivalent in space. But that's one of the reasons for this current test flight is they are going to be deploying their latest version of Starlink satellites. They're actual full-on version 3 satellites, 20 of them. But they just won't be sticking around because they are in the same flight path as Starship. They are going to descend into Earth's atmosphere and burn up, but that is going to be a massive step in testing their communications capabilities, their rollout features, their functionality. So we're gonna get there. But I think what the bottleneck is going to be is just creating the amount of devices and compute that we're going to need to put up there in order to make such a massive amount of data center capacity like we have down here on Earth. It's going to take time to build all that out, and that's where Terafab does come into play.
Yeah.
So I don't think that timeline is far off at all. It's just that there's because it incorporates a lot of other things down the supply chain that also need to happen, not just their capability of launching rockets to space.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff there on that, 13. Good stuff there on that. We are seeing the SPY maybe curl here a little bit. We'll see if this actually ends up with a potential move higher here.
Trey, it's they're mostly getting it from solar, and I know the idea is like, wow, solar really? It's they're going to need some massive solar panels for that. Yes, they are, and that's what they're going to deploy. They're going to have these huge rollout solar panels for all these latest satellites that they're going to be putting out. So essentially, that's where it's coming from, the sun. And it's going to be big solar panels.
All right, SPY, really quickly here, just to attach some numbers to this. This is actually holding the 200 EMA. I have that at 745.64. It looks like that is acting as some support here. SPY's trying to bounce, but we haven't seen any indication that it's going to have the strength to successfully do that. So just kind of keeping an eye here on SPY. No active positions.
Iran, we're not done, and we're still trying to
ADBV might not be done either. Here, let me bring up Iran.
Yeah, it's still trying to get to $40. Might do it with this candle. And almost there.
I mean, this is too much for me. It's actually not. I mean, it's great, but it's just crazy. I mean, my first comment when I added that trend line was, boy, this is steep. I don't know. And then here we are looking at it about to test. It's too much for me. AMC, let's see. How did that end up doing? Yeah, rolled over, trying for its 65 EMA, basically right on it. I don't know about that, though. That looks a little bit weak as well.
Yeah, losing the 65 EMA, now having the task to recapture it with this volume, I don't know. It looks more likely it's going to head down to the 200 and get support from that actually pre-market price action before they had earnings. Okay, so a little bit of an update here on Iran. 39.90 is now the high, and it's pulling again. Archer also put in a slightly new regular session high. This hit 491. I'm sorry, 493.
ADBV might be trying for new highs right here. There's Archer. Boy, I'll tell you what, Archer looks like this wants to roll higher and challenge 5. This is a nice second pass through the trend line. And now we actually set new intraday regular session highs. I think 5 is on deck here for ACHR Archer.
Yep, I think so. And what's going to happen here with 5 determines, what it goes on to do next. So If we're rejected at 5, then I think we do come back down toward the the 480s, maybe VWAP, and look for support there. If we move through 5 and the trend line, then I think 5 becomes support, and then we look towards 520 as the next resistance.
ADBV, we just got new intraday highs. 785 looks to be your high print there. This little bit of a push here. Good mention, Billy. Our human chat scanners all over at more new highs now. Volume actually looking pretty good on this name too. ADVB, Advanced Biomed.
And if we get that $8 breakout, we think we see 850. That looks like the next one, the next spot to me. That's a good one, Joe. Yeah, $5 is a pretty important spot with Archer. For me, going back and trading this and owning this thing since 2021. I don't own any now, but when I was doing that, 520 was a really big support and resistance level that I was always keeping an eye on. So really big on that 520 level.
I remember we talked about that. We talked about that level often in happy hour when we were checking out Archer in the after hours.
Yep. Light wants 1,000. BIA still in play.
GOAI, this is one of our movers. What a disappointment. That thing can't get above the VWAP. Let's take a look at BIA. EIYA, by the way, is that ticker. So this is still holding its 65 EMA. This, to me, though, a break of this, we probably revisit 6.
To me, this looks like we're in some trouble here with BIA. Losing the VWAP was one of the things I would mentioned earlier that we don't want to see. And now that we've lost it, we've been trying to recapture it and can't get back above it. So here we are still facing rejection from VWAP, and the 65 EMA is not helping. If we do recapture the 65 EMA and get some consistent closes over it, maybe we can get the VWAP back. But to me, it looks like we're getting support from 650, and that's the next level to lose if we can't get back above the 65 EMA. Archer is ripping. Let me see here. Oh, there we go. Hit. Looks like we hit 5. Yes. No. 498.
I was going to say I don't see that we printed 5, but yep, 498. You were exactly right the first time, 13. But we're about to.
Yep. Okay. There we go. 499. So we are so far getting a rejection in the area, just like G-Man said, but we're not done yet. I think if we lose like that 492 area, where we're getting resistance before this this previous candle, then we come down to VWAP, and it makes it much harder for us to get above 5 for now.
Cynthia bringing up CrowdStrike, thoughts on cybersecurity for the theme today. So I noticed that Palo Alto popped. So interestingly enough, CrowdStrike here just popped to the Friday highs and backed off. Palo Alto, I think, was something similar. Let me check. What do you have, 13?
ADVB is made some higher prints. Looks like 860 now the high. Was looking for 850 as resistance. We did get a slightly higher print above that, but not a close. So here we are, seeing some of that resistance. Now, if we do get a rejection here, we do have support back down at that 785 and also at 8. So if we are getting some sellers to step in, let's keep an eye on those areas for support.
And I'm kind of watching the 870 area. That to me looks like it might be a resistance area if we get up there. By the way, Archer's still sub 5. We'll see if it's got the strength to break through that. SPY has continued to pull back. So has the Nasdaq. So has the Dow. So although we had green arrows here this morning, we still do, but all of them are lower here. So we'll see if they can stay green. Maybe we're setting up for another bounce later today.
ADVB trying to get through that 850 area. Still hitting it. A recharge at VWAP. Oh, that would make sense. If we don't get the recharge down around here, around like the 492, it's currently getting support. We lose this, and yes, we need to see that recharge at VWAP. I agree. VMAR, speaking of VWAP, VMAR trying to get back above its VWAP.
That's VMAR. That was a mover from last week.
Yeah, one of the ones I was mentioning, it was S dot, VMAR, some of those movers from last week. They're still getting some attention today.
Big B says, I think Oracle may be able to crack its floor here today. Oracle, man, this is a stock that just can't get out of its own way. How many people think this is going to break beneath 120 this week? We got 85 more cents. Look at this is the pre-market from Thursday, pretty much held 120 here. It sure looks like Oracle's going to go lower here, Big B's. 120 support, that's going to get tested today.
The only thing price lower than today is the Liberation Day unwind. It really does look like we could find, if we don't find support here, then we're probably going to go down to 100. It may be lower.
Yeah. Brandy saying Oracle to 106, 113. Retro says it's pathetic. We've talked about Oracle quite a bit. I still think there's going to be a trade here in this. Trey says, I'm staying out of the way with how their bonds are acting. So you're not even interested in Oracle until the bonds start shaping up a little bit, it sounds like. Cynthia says we're cooked, folks.
Archer might be going between. Okay, let's see what Archer's doing. Still dealing with that 499 and getting support from the 490s, the low 490s. Just kind of sideways for now. IREN, we did get a move down to VWAP, getting support from there. We'll see if we end up losing VWAP or not, or if we're going to get another shot at 40. What's their credit default activity like for Oracle? Don't think we have a current reading on that, do we, Ryan?
I'm sorry, I was looking at my bot. What was that again? What are their credit default activity like for Oracle? No, but let me see if I can get that.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm just waiting on is, besides its bottoming, is I want to see some of that RPO come back into play. They have, but that's not going to happen for at least a year, and the really big chunk of it is going to be over a several-year period going into 2030. Oh, they did they downgrade Oracle?
Credit default swap on Oracle has exploded over a 10-week period. That was back in December of 2025, though. But it hasn't recovered since then.
Why?
Sorry, I don't have a good answer for you on that. Tess says, I'm old. Cost basis on Oracle of around $32. I'm a holder until 104, and then I'll take it off the table.
Wow.
Oracle daily RVOL is 20.25 times. So that means it is a quarter of what it normally is, still seeing selling. And indeed, it's just pulling up the price chart. That's exactly what you see. BIA is back over. Is that doing well here? Let me pull it up.
It's still trying to recapture VWAP. It hasn't done it yet. It's there right now. But if we start closing over VWAP, then I would think that maybe we are back.
And it's also still held that 684 too.
Yeah, and 740 is going to be a resistance area if we do get back above VWAP. So that would be next.
I'll tell you what, market looks like it is kind of taking a break. Now, we talked about there not being really any significant data today, no data tomorrow, no data on Wednesday, and then we have a lot of those earnings on Wednesday. We talked with Kevin this morning from Nasdaq about this, potentially kind of being a wait and see. He said that the options were pricing in some fireworks here, but I don't know that we're going to see that until we get an earnings report. So this, to me, this kind of malaise that I feel here today, this seems about right on track for kind of what I thought going into Monday.
Did he allude to any particular stock that may kick off those fireworks?
No, his specialty is going to be the index options. So it wasn't as if he was predicting one of them, but he was noting that because there are some big tech ones, that's likely going to impact those Nasdaq options. So it wasn't anything specific.
Yeah. Remember, when Google last reported earnings, they surprised quite a bit with a lot of things they said, their revenue and how much they were pulling in. I think also how much they were spending. So that could be one of the names that gets this whole AI theme reignited here. TSMC already said they are seeing years of demand for AI chips. And when you look at Google's chart recently, it kind of looks like we've got a bit of a bottoming formation happening here. Don't know if you want to call it a head and shoulders, but it kind of looks like that. If you look at what's been going on since the beginning of June, kind of does look like there's a little bit of a head and shoulders there. We'll see if that ends up panning out or not, but that would give, that'd be about 375 as the breakout spot. You see that there?
Is it right here is your left and then here's your head? Am I looking at it the right way?
Pretty much since the start of very beginning of June 1st. That's where we fell beneath the neckline, and that neckline looks to me like it's 375. So maybe there's a good Google report coming. We'll see. That could be one of the ones. BIA is getting a little bit more attention here, coming up to some that resistance we were talking about around 750. Are we still recovering here with these names?
Buffalo by bicycle. AI talked me out of going to a picnic on Saturday, and the storm never came. I'm sorry, man. Probably shouldn't listen to a computer if you're trying to go touch grass. That would be my knee-jerk reaction to that.
So no different than the weatherman.
Not going to dispute that either.
AMPG. Almost a $22 million offering. Let me look at that. Amplitech. And that pulled it down underneath its 50. Well, let's see here. Looks like this could potentially head down to around 485, I'm going to say.
On which one?
485, 490. This is AMPG. He was mentioning that our Rooster was mentioning that they just had an offering, almost $22 million. Come on, Newsfeed, let's go. And that appears to have pulled this down. Give me 1 second. I want to see what this news is about.
Oh, by the way, market is while you're looking that up, market is continuing to pull, and that is across the board, nothing specific. SPY down, Nasdaq down, Dow down. Some of the individual smaller names that we were looking at still pulling here.
Okay. And they have some pretty high short interest too, but not the days to cover. Yeah, so Amplitech losing that 50-day, and let's see how it closes. But certainly $6 was the support. That was lost. That's been lost now. I think that I'd be keeping an eye on the area around 480, 485.
Alan reminding us it's a buying day. Now, see, that's the thing. Like when the market comes in, dip buyers have been rewarded. My only question for you on that is like, when you look at that, are you buying individual names? Are you looking at whether or not these things are coming into support on the individual names? Are you judging it based on the broader indice? Because the indice really hasn't told the story. Like some of these stocks really been pounded, although the indice is not far from all-time highs. It definitely does feel like that, though. Without this big breakdown, feels like maybe there's some dip buying going on for either a run in the afternoon or maybe even tomorrow.
BIA is still climbing and running in. They're coming up to some resistance. I see, 8 to 825 as being a resistance area for BIA. Looks like we were also getting some more movement in ADVB, trying to get beyond the 870 high that we put in about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Okay, Alan, I appreciate this. I buy stocks that I believe in when they're down. That's how I operate too. EKS saying individual names based on my 5-year charts and value metrics. So that let me then ask you then, is this pullback enough to get you enticed on anything? I guess that would be on an individual stock basis. Oracle bounced off 120. Sorry, 13.
No, Archer might be trying to make the next move for 5. It needs more volume, so I don't know if it's going to succeed. But if we do get a good spike in volume here, good expansion of volume, we'll see that move through 5, I think, or up to 5.
And this is actually holding that trend line too. So I know we're just shy of 5 here, but so far holding the trend line, holding the 9 EMA. This doesn't look terrible, 13. Seeing a bunch of Tesla puts as that rolls to the low. Apple also at the low, 327. Even those cybersecurity names that popped earlier. Cynthia, I know you said CrowdStrike. No, Palo Alto pulled back too, so it looks like everything's going up. SpaceX trying to hold 120. And your VIX holding pretty sideways here in an 18 handle, which is kind of no man's land. Now, Alan, you mentioned Netflix. Okay, so I'm actually surprised we haven't discussed Netflix here. That pulled right out of the open. It's bouncing now, but it pulled. I think the last time that we talked about Netflix, we talked about 63 being one of the levels here. This traded down to 65 on the morning post earnings and bounced. What do you think, though? This, to me, looks like this is going to roll over, retest 65. I still think 63 is a key level. I believe Anne Marie's on 63 as a key level as well. Where do we think here on Netflix? We think is it forming a bottom here, or do we still have to probe a lower area? And what do you think, Alan? These are, this started by saying stocks that you believe in. What do you think about their content problem? How do you think they're going to fix that? Or is the live sports and creator content that they're moving into enough?
Yeah, their content hasn't been great because their writing isn't great. And it just kind of seems like that's the case with Hollywood in general since they had that strike several years ago. But with Netflix, we're depending on how we end up here today, could end up with an inside candle. That could still spell some more downside based, just because we're still in a bit of a downtrend, or we could see a reversal. But I'm not sure if we're going to get a gap fill that takes us up from $69.50 all the way up to $4 to $73.50. It still looks like there could be some lower prints, but for now, $65 looks like the current support. The RSI has gone lower, so I won't say that it's not impossible for this to continue to sell, but let's just see what we get. I would say over the next couple of days. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like a whole lot's been sticking for them. I think that they are going to have to really improve their live events offering. I think that's going to have to be their go-to, because they cannot make great content right now. They can only buy good content.
Yeah, and even that they seem to struggle with in some cases.
All right, let's see here. So here we are with Archer knocking on the door of 5 again. We didn't even have to go down to VWAP. We kind of held the 490s. There's 5. Do we get rejected here, or can we push up to 520 now?
Zach, take care of yourself.
Take care, Zach.
Have a good one. And really quickly here, just to recap you. So the trading bot here today. Everything worked with no errors, except there were no trades actually opened or closed. Now, remember, this was paper trading to begin with as a proof of concept before we put real money on the line, of course, but didn't look like I got any execution. So next step, what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to let this run all day here. But the next step, what I'm going to do tonight is I've got data in the Python log here. So clearly stuff was working. I'm going to figure out what took place, why no orders got bought or sold, and then I'm going to fix it and come back and test it again tomorrow. If enough of you folks are interested in how this is going, I will definitely keep you posted. Please understand that I am not a coder, and I am doing this all via the AI tools, and I'm kind of doing it with a lot of trial and error. I tested the indicators that I'm using for this individually for months ahead of time. That's where a crux of this trading logic has been built. But the actual application here is I'm still kind of learning how to piece this together. I did apply for the Schwab Trader API. So for anyone else that has a Schwab account that's interested in doing this, one of the things that you're going to need is their API. I've requested that. When I get it, I'll wire it up to the bot here itself. But I'm optimistic because I'm getting data. Probably have some bugs to work out, and I'll keep you posted on all of that. I will definitely do that. Austin, Nikhil, I will definitely do that for you.
I just want to post this real quick. It's just I said I'd post my transportation watch list to Joe. It includes some of the trains on there. It's not exclusively trains, but just a transportation watch list that I've got that I use. It's got my UNP on there though.
Okay, and I see you posted that right in the chat there. Okay, great. Ryan, you need to do a YouTube showing your AI code buy sell rules and what market it scans. Would be great to view on YouTube comments. So EKS, a couple of things here real quick. I definitely am thinking about personally making some videos on the journey here. I don't think I'm far enough along to really start doing that yet. I need to have some more concrete answers, but I will definitely look forward to doing that. The one thing, though, is that as far as the actual code goes, I'm worried that if a bunch of people start doing the same thing, that code wouldn't be as valuable. So once I get some real world results, then the next step will be coming up with a timeline. What I can share, I will, without a doubt.
If enough people start using that, then we're setting up for a flash crash.
See, well, that's another thing. So Fake Beat saying Ryan is becoming an algo trader. Look, do you guys have any idea how nice it would be for me to be able to have the computer trade for me while I focus on the show here? And when I take vacation, when I'm sitting on the first tee box, that the computer's just making money. I mean, this is literally the holy grail of what we do. So yeah, I'm into this. I'm a newbie in it, and I've got some time to kind of get this figured out here, but I am definitely gonna try. Toss paper trade gives many false executions. Beware. Indeed. And actually, the whole thing with the paper trading is that I'm having the bot do it on its own and keep its own leisure as opposed to going through Toss. But you're absolutely right. There's going to be a change when you move from the paper environment to the real environment. And there's definitely going to be some learning experience to go with that. 13, we are out of time here for today. Any closing words for the group? Whoa.
Well, a little bit of a muted morning as far as the movers go, but we still found a good number of things to trade and had some great trades to go along with it. So congratulations to everybody that had those good trades, and well done on your trading. We'll come back here tomorrow. We'll find some more, even if the list is short, and we'll trade it and we'll make some more money. So until then, folks, have a great rest of your morning. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
All right. 13, take care. Good stuff here today. We will see you tomorrow, folks. We're done here for today. Be sure to join us for another T3 Tuesday tomorrow. Good way to kick off the week here. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.